Goodings 5AA.
Becoming cloudy 21 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
FIVEaa Extra hands-on physio at 6 locations. Even more convenient now with online bookings at physioextra.com.
Police are investigating a fatal crash at Virginia. It involved a motorbike and a ute on Old Port Wakefield Road just after 5:30 last night. The 18-year-old male rider from Burton died at the scene. It's the 28th fatality on our roads this year. SA Police are investigating a sickening schoolyard attack that's put a 16-year-old girl in hospital. Footage has emerged of the teenager being kicked, punched and stomped on by a fellow student at Whyalla Secondary College. The victim suffered minor facial injuries and concussion. Shadow Education Minister John Gardner says it's shocking.
This is a next-level sort of incident. This isn't the typical type of incident you expect to see in the schoolyard, and I don't think anyone looking at that footage could be anything other than quite distressed. It's very disturbing to see.
The economy is likely to dominate today's final leaders' debate before the election as the Morrison government announces further investment in clean energy projects. Michael Packey is on the campaign trail.
The Prime Minister will announce the third of his Trailblazer collaborations, this time with the University of New South Wales and the University of Newcastle. They'll share in $50 million to work with business to develop high-tech renewable projects like solar and hydrogen. The move is expected to create 1,600 jobs over the next 4 years. Scott Morrison believes this sort of investment will help grow the economy and lift wages at a more sustainable level.
A very different opening to the British Parliament this year. The Prince of Wales delivering the Queen's speech after Her Majesty withdrew on doctor's advice. It covered the legislative agenda as well as a nod to the Queen's upcoming Platinum Jubilee. Charles says the British government remains committed to supporting NATO and its allies amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Her Majesty's ministers will work closely with international partners to maintain a united NATO and address the most pressing global security challenges.
International researchers believe a version of the current H1N1 influenza strain could be a direct descendant of the 1918 flu virus. The global pandemic back then killed between 50 and 100 million people. The team analysed lung specimens from historical archives collected between 1901 and 1931. Elon Musk says he would reverse Donald Trump's suspension from Twitter. The billionaire is in the process of buying the social media platform. He's called the Trump ban morally wrong.
We should not have perma-bans. That doesn't mean that somebody gets to say whatever they want to say. If they say something that is illegal or just destructive to the world, then there should be perhaps a timeout, a temporary suspension, or that particular tweet should be made invisible or have very limited traction.
Eurovision is upon us again. The first semi-final is being staged in Turin this morning. Countries competing include Greece, Iceland and Moldova. Australia will take part in the second semi-final. Now to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty. 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
And it's a very good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Mel. Adelaide will train at West Lakes this morning as it prepares for Saturday night's clash against Brisbane at home. The Crows are desperate to bounce back following back-to-back heavy defeats. Meantime, Bulldogs captain Marcus Bontempelli accepts heavy criticism of his side following a poor run of results. Last year's grand finalists are currently in 10th spot on the ladder with 3 wins and 5 losses. Bontempelli told Fox Footy that's not good enough.
I think we've set a high standard and I obviously feel that we're not where we should be and we feel that, but you can't dwell on what it's not. You can only focus on what you want it to be or what it is.
Adelaide United's players will train today as they prepare for Sunday's knockout final against the Central Coast Mariners. Meantime, there's a big game on in the English Premier League. Liverpool has just taken a 2-1 lead against Aston Villa. There's about 15 minutes to play. The Reds desperately need a win to draw level with Manchester City at the top of the table. Well, the NBL Grand Final Series continues tonight and the Sydney Kings can close it out with a win against the Tassie Jack Jumpers. That's in Game 3 of their best-of-5 series. Meantime, in the NBA, the Boston Celtics have levelled their series at 2 games apiece against Milwaukee. That's after a 116 to 108 point win. while the Golden State Warriors are 3-1 up in their series against Memphis after winning 101-98. And Novak Djokovic has advanced to the third round of the Italian Open after a straight sets win over Aslan Karatsev in Rome. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Want pure water? Filter your home for 20% off. CompleteHomeFiltration.com.au.
Becoming cloudy 21 today, cloudy tomorrow 21, Friday cloudy 22. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Take the last train to Clarksville and I'll meet you at the station.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
'Cause I'm leaving in the morning and I must see you again. We'll have one more night together till the morning brings my train and I must go.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on 5AA Breakfast. Sean Fuster will join us this morning. We'll go round the courts with Sean after 7:30. The new Health Minister, Chris Picton, will be on just before him. We'll talk about some of the concerning incidents we've had in the South Australian health system in the early stages of the term of this new Labor government. And then a little bit later in the morning, Lord Mayor of the City of Adelaide, Sandy Verschoor, will join us. That'll be after 8:30 today. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. Still getting used to this cold start to the day. Got the jumpers out.
It's jarring, isn't it?
It is. Although, I heard Tom talking about the weather before. Tom ran on an excellent sports show, and they're quite nice days. You can still get stuff done. It's not like it's
Days have
blowing a
been
gale.
beautiful.
There's no wind.
No,
it's good.
the middle of the day has been beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what the concerning thing is? I keep looking at it. Say this morning, walked out, thought, geez, it's cool again. 9.9 degrees. I know there will be days in
2 months'
8
time.
weeks' time that'll be half that.
Winter, yeah. It's one of the things that I reckon the best thing about living in Sydney is their winter.
Right.
Like most days, it's sunny enough and warm enough to go kayaking in the harbour. Like it's just an excellent time of year to be there. We're going to Sydney because I'm taking the family over there during the July holidays, and it's going to be the first time in 2.5 years I've been on a plane.
That's amazing.
It's weird. Even the idea of boarding a plane is going to feel quite novel.
It's probably that would be the longest time since you've been an adult, probably.
I didn't fly. As an adult for sure. Yeah.
Because for work you would have flown around a fair bit, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I did a fair bit. Not at first, not when I was based in Adelaide. It's funny how sort of second nature air travel's become, because it's become so much more affordable. But catching a plane as a kid was a huge deal.
Yeah.
I didn't catch a plane until, I reckon we went to Port Lincoln on a plane on we didn't even land there. We had a family friend who had a pilot's license and took us in a Cessna. And we went on a joyride when I was about 8 years old. But we never flew interstate because it was too expensive. We only ever drove. We used to have these Clark Griswold family holidays.
Tied the suitcase to the roof?
Yeah, well, it was like that. And it would always start here in Hindmarsh Square, where Dad and I and my sister, because Dad used to love, he was so Clark Griswold with his planning. But we'd come into town and go to the RAA and get the strip maps. And then Dad would go home, because he's a scientist, so he likes everything just so, and he has different coloured pens, and he'd have his notebook. And he'd go, by my reckoning, we'll be in Uyghur by 10:30, as long as we leave at 6. And then we'll move on towards Manangatang. Might head up towards the Riverina, take a different route to get to Sydney this time. We're going to go through Tooleybuck and then up to Griffith, then across to Harden and Temora, and then pop out near the Dog on the Tucker Box in Gundagai. And at that point, we'll be 3 hours from Sydney.
Wow.
And it'll take us 3 days. But these are all the landmarks we're going to see.
That's a very different experience than any road trip we went on as a family, which usually involved no planning. And invariably at some point, my brother and I and sister later would say, are we there yet? And Mum would, after much bickering in the front row, would go, no, because your father's an idiot. And he'd go, well, if your mother could get ready on time, we might have been there already. That was generally how it all played out.
It's funny because I reckon if I was organising it now, it'd sound more like yours. But I used to love those road trips, though.
It's good, yeah. It's good fun.
This was a bit of an early warning sign for me, career-wise. I always used to take a big old tape recorder, and this is when I was like in year 8 and 9, and I'd interview Mum and Dad and my sister about how they thought the holiday was going.
Oh, wow. Did you grill them?
I'd ask questions, and then I'd put in some facts about the towns that we'd been in and make these travel tapes, like little travel logs.
Did the interviews get hostile? No, I know you said we're on time, but I just need to follow up there.
There was one time we were in Bright, and Dad always liked taking these weird alternate routes to go for a bit of an explore. Mum would crack it sometimes and say, Lloyd, that's an unsealed road. We can't go down there. And like, bear in mind, some of these trips, we're in a Mitsubishi Galant.
Yeah.
And then we're in a Commodore L station wagon. 2 of the worst cars ever made there. We're proud owners of both of them. But there was one time in Bright when Dad said at night, I think we should drive up to see if we can find some snow. And in one of these shitbox cars that we owned, and was sliding around in the dark. And I started doing a recording, and I'm on the back seat going, Dad seems to be in a bit of trouble here because we're on ice and Mum's getting really angry. And then Dad goes, David, shut up! And it's on the tape. I've still got those tapes somewhere.
You need to bring that in. We could play it.
You miss all that when you just fly everywhere?
Yeah.
See, I'm often into Kate saying, we got to go on some long family drives. She's going, you reckon? For 10 hours in the car? Like, yes. Who still does them? Do you still do long family drives, folks?
Yeah. What's the best place to go?
The price of petrol these days makes it a bit prohibitive. Flying is probably almost cheaper if there's not many of you.
8223 is our number. You can text us as well on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line 0480 1395. We've got news headlines coming up next.
$1 trillion of debt means 6% home loan rates, and you will lose your home. We'll freeze home loan rates below 3% for 5 years. Save your home. Vote United Australia Party.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
You deserve to enjoy doing what you're passionate about. Gardening, for example, or walking to keep fit. So if your body is stopping you from enjoying the life you want, come and see us at SportsMed. Our Stepney Healthcare Hub includes our own hospital, orthopaedic surgeons, doctors, physios and podiatrists, so we can see to your care from diagnosis to rehabilitation, all in one place. Easy. Get back to doing what you love. sportsmed.com.au.
For over 38 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth a trip. And right now, Steinborners are the place to go for top dollar on your trade-in. They will do any trade, and this month they are offering a further $1,500 bonus on all trade-ins. So go out to one of Steinborner's 8 locations for Hyundai, Mitsubishi, Ford and SA's best range of used cars. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
Hi, I'm Jo Dyer, your independent candidate for Boothby. The major parties have failed us on the most important issues of our age, and we can't afford to wait for them to catch up. Independents can drive policy change and hold the government to account. As an independent, I'm only accountable to the Boothby community, not a party office, not donors, not lobbyists. If you want things to change, you need to change your vote. Vote independent. Vote Jo Dyer for Boothby. Written, spoken and authorised by Jo Dyer, Kingswood.
Hello, Ian Henschke from National Seniors Australia. Australia desperately needs more than 400,000 extra workers, and we've got pensioners who want to help, want to work and work more. But we've got a confusing system that gives you a bonus for one day's work and penalises you more than 50 cents in the dollar after that. Make it simple, make it fair. Get rid of the pensioner work tax now. It's a win for pensioners, for business and for Australia. Sign our petition at nationalseniors.com.au.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone?
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
And they charge the people $1.50 just to see 'em. Don't it always seem to go
News headlines time on this Wednesday morning. A young man has died in a crash at Virginia. The 18-year-old's motorbike collided with a car on Old Port Wakefield Road around 5:30 yesterday afternoon. Investigations into the collision have started. Our state road death toll is now 28 compared to 40 this time last year. Police investigations are continuing after footage emerged of a horrendous schoolyard attack at FIVEaa Secondary College. A 16-year-old girl is repeatedly kicked, punched in the head and stomped on by a fellow student. Several students are seen sitting close to the incident, not jumping in to help the victim. The teenager was taken to hospital with minor facial injuries and concussion. Bridget Koenig from the Sammy D Foundation says it's one of the worst cases of violence they've seen.
The school has a part to play, but so do the parents, so do the other members of the community, and including police.
That footage, I only saw a teeny bit of it and just stopped watching. It's just horrible. How does it get to that, particularly involving girls? It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, that might sound sexist, but it's just
well, no,
what you instinctively think.
Yeah, you do think, but that's also your experience. I don't ever remember going through at any point in my school life seeing girls in a fight, in a physical fight.
No, me neither. And, I didn't go to some la-di-da school.
So, I don't know if that's...
I'm not saying you did, Will.
Well, I did for a little bit. It didn't help me. I don't know if that's about socialisation of gender norms or something or other, or if it's just...
I think it is about that. It's probably about their family background. It's probably about poverty. It's probably about what they've grown up witnessing and living in their
violence
homes.
is normal, maybe. But it's just
that
awful.
School's got pretty serious issues.
Awful.
And I don't mean that it's a bad school. I mean that it's got serious. It's got a lot of kids who come from families with pretty serious social problems. So.
The price of rice could start going down, with Australia now growing a massive crop. Last year's rain across New South Wales led to low water prices in the Riverina area, which means it's now the biggest Aussie rice crop in a generation, 700,000 tonnes. The Weekly Times says prices are sitting around $400 a tonne, so 40 cents a kilo. The Rice Growers Association says this year's crop is a big jump on last year and around 10 times the size of 2020. When we had panic buying and all sorts, and rice was one of the staples, like toilet paper that went off the shelves really, really quickly.
Hands up who's still got 8 kilograms of rice at the bottom of their pantry.
When we first bought our first home, we bought a sack of rice. I don't know why. I don't even know how many kilos it was, but it went up to my knee. Like, it was that sort of, it was industrial. Did
you go to that Asian store in Hilly Beach Road or something?
It was in the quantity that I'm sure a restaurant on Goodges Street would buy rice.
Yeah. Well, I'll have the house of chow water, thanks.
We never got through it. That bag
is it still there?
No, when we moved, it didn't make the move with us, shall we say?
But I think the thing is, unless you're like an Asian person or an Indian, like if you eat an Anglo diet,
we cook a lot of Asian food.
Okay,
so it made sense in the moment.
But a big sack of rice goes a very long way. And there's only two of you.
Exactly.
Like 1 cup of rice feeds 4 people when it's cooked.
Yeah, it sat in this.
1 cup of dry
sat
rice
in our pantry like a relic to the bad decisions you made when you first move out of home, like your first big shop. You know what we need? Rice forever.
I don't mind admitting I've still got a lot of pulses from Gaganis that I bought during lockdown.
Yeah,
and I was actually looking at them all in the pantry the other day, thinking, I've still got a kilogram of pinto beans. What am I going to do with them?
What if anyone else has got sort of either relics to bad purchasing decisions or holdovers from the pandemic and panic buying in their cupboard or pantry at home? We'd love to hear from you if you do. 8223 0000 or text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Wages growth is expected to dominate the election agenda today. Anthony Albanese throwing his support behind a huge pay rise for workers. Mr Albanese said he would absolutely back a 5.1% increase to the minimum wage this year to match current inflation. The Prime Minister will continue his focus on jobs with a new $50 million partnership with the University of New South Wales and the University of Newcastle. The money will be used to help the institutions work with business to help develop high-tech clean energy projects, including in the emerging hydrogen sector.
How does the Prime Minister give everyone a pay rise? Is it through backing? Would it be through the government backing the minimum wage?
Lifting the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Because the ACTU is making a submission to the Fair Pay Commission. Their name escapes me momentarily, but Fair Work Commission. Yeah, they want it to be 5.1%. And Anthony Albanese was asked in the context of where inflation's at, should wages keep pace with or outpace inflation? And he said absolutely, which means, despite never actually originally saying that the Labor Party was with the ACTU on this submission, he kind of is.
So, do you think that's a negative for him electorally?
You
I
know,
don't, I don't know if it is in the current climate.
Yeah, except the argument will be made. Two arguments will be made. One will be, well, no one can afford this. Who do you want to go work for that can right now? Which small business is flush with cash can afford it? But I think more so, and actually in the context of this story, I actually think in a campaign sense, as distinct from the state Liberals, I actually think federally the Liberals have done just about everything they could in this election campaign. Because Morrison's point yesterday, harking back to Albanese not being able to recall the interest rates, was here he goes again. He shoots from the gob on these economic matters, hasn't thought it through. He's come up with a new position suddenly in a press conference because it sounded good. This guy can't be trusted with the economy. This is all the stuff he was saying. Yeah. And I actually think it's as good a line as they've got. But I don't think any of it matters. Because I think you're right. I think people hear it and go, well, okay, that does sound fair. Why should I get a pay cut? Well, because inflation's high. Yeah, and the rest of it's a bit academic. But it did strike me that all the tones that the coalition have hit have been right, but the damage that in the minds of voters, my sense is, if the polling's accurate, is that the damage has been done in the preceding years, and this campaign
it feels like it,
wasn't going to be. There was nothing they could do to save them.
I think my assessment of this election has been wrong. I've had a strong hunch all along that somehow Morrison would hold on, but it's looking less and less likely, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
I mean, the front page of today's Ties are Boothby for Liberals, exclusive ALP poised to kick government out in seat. And the front page of the Australian, Frydenberg on the ropes in Kooyong, where he's facing an independent. That's in the la-di-da seat in Melbourne. Old Andrew Peacock territory there. Treasurer and likely, well, definite next Liberal leader in the event that Morrison loses. Talk about a 2-for-1 deal for the ALP. We're going to knock off the next generation of Liberal leaders as well if this happens.
It's amazing.
So, yeah, maybe the likeability of Scott Morrison, I think particularly with women, I think that's an issue. You know, it's. I think as a bloke, I've probably underestimated the extent to which some of that Brittany Higgins stuff became a residual negative for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's starting to look more like it's a lost cause for the Libs.
Sue in Christie's Beach says, I had to buy 10 kilos of rice during the early pandemic days of panic buying. I only needed a tablespoon. I think I still have 9 kilos.
Wow.
She's given us a photographic piece of evidence, which is a giant tub of rice, and next to it a coffee mug for scale.
You know the problem with buying big bags of rice too is most of the real massive ensemble dishes that require a lot of rice, like a risotto or a paella.
Yeah,
you can't make risotto or paella with normal rice.
No, you need.
It just doesn't work. It turns into wallpaper paste. So you're stuffed.
10.9 degrees. Yeah, Sue and I know. 10.9 degrees outside at the moment. Top of 21 today. Maybe a little drizzle of rain about the place. 21 on Thursday, 22 Friday, and then some rain Saturday. 3 mils and 21. Sunday 1 mil and 21.
Actually,
as well.
You know what you can make? Jambalaya.
Okay,
it's a really good ensemble dish.
Never made jambalaya.
It's basically like Louisiana fried rice.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give you and Sue the recipe later.
I saw it on Top Chef New Orleans.
It's really tasty.
Tom Wren's in the 5AA Breakfast Studio with us. 10-year warranty and 10 years cap price servicing. Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Boys, a lot of Liverpool fans I know out there listing at the moment, and they've got a game on at the moment against Aston Villa. It is deep into stoppage time. They're 2-1 up at the moment. So that's important because if they win that, they draw level with Manchester City at the top of the table, albeit City have got a game in hand with only a couple to play, but it at least keeps it all alive. Now 1-0 down in that one. Fellas, have you ever got the feeling that you've stuffed something up monumentally?
Yep.
Yeah, most days for me as well. But
it's only 6:25 and I've already admitted I think I've got the election result wrong.
Well, don't worry. We've got friends this morning, or we've got one friend. Now, this race happened on Monday at Kyneton. It was a 2,800 metre race, and basically you have to do 1.5 laps of the circuit because it's
Kyneton.
Over in Victoria. Anyway, so, it's a staying race.
Yeah.
That's a long race. The Melbourne Cup's 3,200 metres. This is 2,800 metres, benchmark 58, so far lower grade, clearly. And Michael Poy's on board Dante. I get the feeling he forgot that it was an extra lap to go. Let's have a listen.
So with the 250 metres to go on the first round, Dente has gone up and gone towards the front here and is given a slap with the whip, and I fear that the jockey might think that this is a one-lap race. In fact, I'm convinced of it. Michael Poy, I believe this is. I fear that he's thinking this is a 1,200 metre race. It's gone to the front and leads by about 7 or 8 lengths to in second place Dancing Duck. You're going to get a shock shortly, Mickey. About 3 further back, Piero Rosso, and they were followed by along the inside behind those horses. We've got Court Painter. Yes, he's just realised now there, Mickey Poy.
Oh, that's brutal.
So he's gone out like a maniac at the start.
Gone it, yeah.
He went to whip at the end of the first.
It's gone, geez, this thing is good. Like, I have belted the rest of the field. But as a result, he's been handed a 2-month ban.
I'm interested in that. You know much more about this than I do, Rennie. The culture of horse racing, the jockey makes a mistake and you get banned. That'd be like a bloke kicking across goal, conceding it, and the AFL saying, well, that's a 2-week ban, mate.
Yep.
Yeah, if you handball to the wrong person,
Yeah.
like if you kick an own goal in soccer,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to play.
The association actually comes down and says, no, you're out.
And I guess, look, because there's so many connections, trainers involved, they might have worked for months to get this horse up to the race.
Yeah.
You know, it's the big day, and then...
How'd you be being the jockey after the race and the owners come over to you?
Well, the thing is, he's probably got 7 other rides. That was late in the day. It was race 7. He's probably had 7 other rides for the day. Mistakes happen. I'm with you, Will. Like, it's a pretty harsh penalty.
Yeah.
You know, given that... But I guess for the purposes of betting, everything else, you know, transparency, they say, sorry, mate, that's just a bad blow.
Maybe we should check that, you know, Salim Malik didn't have a lazy fiver on it or something.
He was only interested in the pitch conditions. You
Yeah,
know that?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
What was the weather going to be
What's
like?
it going to be like on day 4?
Yeah, that's right.
He's dead, isn't he, Salim Malik?
That is a really good question.
Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. Hansi Cronje's dead.
Hansi Cronje. In fact, there's that great documentary about him, and it's...
That was that headline in the Onion, in the Chaser, rather. Cronje dead, denies plane was fixed.
Well, there's a fantastic documentary on Netflix about him and his rise and fall from grace. It's
was shockingly sad,
phenomenal, really sad.
Salim Malik's still with us, by the way, 59 years of age and going strong.
Okay.
Right. But this documentary is about sports people that get involved in the deep, dark, you know, web of gambling. And there's one about basketball, college basketball, I reckon, from the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So if you can find it, I'll see if I can find it. It's brilliant
Well, that
stuff.
sports doc is great the way the blood exploded in the last 20 years.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
It's one of the best innovation in journalism.
Actually, it's some of the best documentary making that goes on.
Yeah,
anywhere as well.
Yeah, it is.
Irrespective of genre. It's
I
just
still think that
quality of
doco about Hillsborough is one of the most powerful,
Yes,
incredible bits of television I've
The
ever
Michael
seen.
Jordan one was good. I'm
Yeah.
watching Winning Time, which isn't a doco. It's
It's very much not a doco.
But
don't have a look at the historical accuracy of Winning Time.
No, it's got a few of the former athletes.
Have you seen the
pretty
one
upset.
about Maradona when he played for Napoli, looking at the second half of his career and how Italy fell in love with him and then came to hate him? That's a great documentary.
Yeah, I need to get into that one.
It was good.
All right. We're going to talk Winning Time in the ad break. Okay,
Yeah.
5AA News is coming up, and we'll be back with more of your texts, more of your stories of hoarding during the pandemic, and some good ones coming through on the Telstra Stormont Parker text line. And we've got some news stories too, including a world record breaker, a man who has become the person who's worked at the same company for the longest, 84 years. We'll talk about him next.
If you're due for a service, here's a little reminder of what you get at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Sure, your car gets state-of-the-art servicing by top-trained mechanics, but what do you get? Try next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash. Oh, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we know that to be the best, we've got to look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Progress has been made to connect Australia's healthcare system. Now everyone can choose to get an electronic prescription, have a consultation with a doctor from home, and use My Health Record to view your COVID-19 dashboard, including boosters and test results. And there's more to come, connecting Australia to a healthier future and you to better healthcare. Find out more at digitalhealth.gov.au.
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra. Spoken by Dr. Andrew Rochford.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
So the garden tap's connected to the tap timer. The tap timer's connected to the tap nut. The tap nut's connected to the poly pipe. The poly pipe's connected to the elbow piece. The elbow's connected to a pop. Keeping your garden green is easy with Pope because everything connects in a flash. And that's how your garden grows. Make the connection with the Pope irrigation range, available at Bunnings Warehouse.
There's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, dear Labor.
Labor hasn't balanced a budget in over 30 years, and their COVID response would have cost an extra $81 billion. Labor didn't even cost their health policy and can't say how they'd fund billions of extra spending in their platform. And that means
more taxes are coming, more taxes, more taxes. There's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, a hole.
It won't be easy under Albanese. Authorised by AHO's Liberal Canberra.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming cloudy, 21 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Working with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
Another motorcyclist has been killed on our roads. The 18-year-old man died in a crash at Virginia around 5:30 last night. His bike collided with a ute on Old Port Wakefield Road. Investigations are continuing. South Australia is leading the nation when it comes to business confidence. That's according to the latest NAB Business Survey, which covers the early days of the new Malinowskis government. Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says the looming light at the end of the pandemic tunnel has also played a part.
It's clear that since the election, over the last 6 weeks, being able to ease back some of the COVID restrictions has contributed to these figures. And while we're not completely out of the woods with managing the pandemic, being able to provide the community more freedom to visit businesses around South Australia has meant that businesses are feeling more confident.
Police investigations are continuing after footage emerged of a shocking schoolyard attack at Whyalla Secondary College. A 16-year-old girl repeatedly kicked, punched in the head and stomped on by a fellow student. The victim was taken to hospital with minor facial injuries and concussion. Bridget Koenig from the Sammy D Foundation says it's one of the worst cases they've seen.
The school has a part to play, but so do the parents, so do the other members of the community, and including police.
A new poll suggests the Federal Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, will lose his seat at the election. Gabrielle Hodson has more.
Kooyong has been a Conservative Party seat since it was created at Federation, but that could be about to change. A new poll indicates Liberal Josh Frydenberg is likely to lose at the May 21st federal election. YouGov research commissioned by News Corp shows he has just 38% of the primary vote. Dr Monique Ryan is behind him on 28%, but the poll suggests she may pick up enough preference votes to get over the line. The Herald Sun says it's a similar story for Liberal Tim Wilson in Goldstein, who has just 40% of the primary vote and may be overtaken by former ABC presenter Zoe Daniel.
Prince Charles has formally opened the British Parliament after the Queen bowed out due to health issues. UK correspondent Carrie-Anne Greenbank has more.
This is the first time in 59 years that Queen Elizabeth couldn't attend the state opening of Parliament due to mobility issues. And for some, this is being seen as the next step in the slow transition to Charles one day becoming king. The Prince of Wales delivering the Queen's speech at the state opening of Parliament, dressed in a uniform of the Admiral of the Fleet and joined by Prince William and Camilla. Also by his side, the imperial state crown, a constant reminder of the Queen, placed next to him as he introduced Boris Johnson's new bills. The ceremony was broadcast on TV, and some British media are reporting that Queen Elizabeth watched it from Windsor Castle.
Mike Tyson won't be charged after he beat up an annoying passenger on a US flight. The Hall of Fame boxer began punching a passenger who was antagonising him while filming for his social media followers. San Francisco police have reviewed the video and, after interviewing others on the flight, have ruled there's no case to answer. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide's players will train at Westlakes this morning as they prepare for Saturday night's match against Brisbane. The Crows have indicated there could be a bit of a shake-up up forward. Let's go to cricket. Former WA and Aussie cricketer Ryan Campbell says he's lucky to be alive after suffering a cardiac arrest and is now looking forward to getting back to normality. The 50-year-old, who is now the national coach of the Netherlands, was playing with his children at a playground in England last month when he collapsed. Campbell says luckily there's no permanent damage to his heart.
The cardiologist, he's extremely happy with how I'm looking, and he kind of scratched his head a few times, but, you know, as long as you have the confidence of those sort of people saying, you know what, you're all okay, makes me feel good.
Meantime, in overseas action in the IPL, Adelaide striker star Rashid Khan has been at it again, dominating with the ball as his Gujarat Titans smashed the Lucknow Super Giants by 62 runs. Defending only 144, Khan weaved his magic with the ball, taking 4 for 24 to help his side move a game clear on top. And Liverpool has kept its hopes live for the EPL title after a 2-1 win against Aston Villa. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Want pure water? Filter your home for 20% off. CompleteHomefiltration.com.au.
21 today and becoming cloudy. Cloudy tomorrow, 21 and 22 on Friday. Right now, it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Twenty-three to 7. Police and weather coming up shortly. Lots of good texts as well on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. We'll get to those in just a moment. First, Phil in Cuddly Creek has called us. Morning to you, Phil.
Hey boys, how you going?
Good, thanks, Phil.
Oh, road trips. Nothing like a good road trip.
100%.
One of the best ones you'll ever do is the Nullarbor.
I've never done it, mate, and I'd love to.
Oh, mate, awesome. Took me 4 days to drive across to Perth at the start of the COVID pandemic, and then when I came back in December, it took me 10 days. I pulled 250 Ks one day because there was just so much to stop and see. It's insane.
So
if you just get off the bitumen, take your eyes off that white line, there is so much to see.
Give us one highlight, Phil. What's the kind of thing, if you haven't done it, you wouldn't have seen?
Oh, Cunalda Station. Old Cunalda Station, about 14 Ks off the highway. There's about 80 to 100, maybe more, old car wrecks that didn't make it across the Nullarbor back when the old air highway was there. Cocklebiddy Caves, the whole lot. Insane. Another one I did a few weeks ago was on a Sunday, had nothing to do with a mate. We jumped in the car, went to Glendambo to look at the water, came back that night, 1,300 Ks per day. 6 o'clock in the morning, left at 6 o'clock in the morning, back at 11 o'clock that night.
So I reckon you're onto something, Phil. The best thing about these trips is the unexpected stuff. I took my 2 older kids about 6 years ago. We drove to Port Augusta and back in 2 days, which isn't really that far. It's about 500 Ks each day, each way, but maybe less actually. But we were coming into Port Augusta and there was a service station, like an abandoned service station on the side of the road that had been turned into this little thrift shop type place. But there was a big painted sign out the front and it said, for sale, blue swimmer crabs, stationery, shoes, cabbage soup.
It's good to specialise, I guess. That's tremendous.
This is the weirdest thing we've ever seen.
We've also been talking about things that you've got in your pantry at home that may be a holdover of COVID and panic buying, or indeed maybe a time even before that. Susanna of Mylor says she's got 3 50-litre plastic tubs of Gagana's pulses, flour and rice. Also has 4 boxes of tinned beans, soups, tomato and fruit just in case of a lockdown. I think you sorted, Susanna. Jenny in Salisbury North bought some stuff too. Morning, Jenny.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I was actually good timing on this one because I was cleaning out my kitchen yesterday. I found 6 bottles of vinegar in the back of my kitchen cupboard.
What were you going to do with them, Jenny?
I actually used it to clean, but I've got 1 bottle that I'm using. I've got 1 bottle that I'm still using for cleaning. I've got the apple cider vinegar that I've got and the special chocolate balsamic. All up, I've got 12 bottles of vinegar in my house right now.
Don't tell me you use the chocolate balsamic to clean.
No, that's great for ice cream, actually.
Yeah, I've heard that. And strawberries too, isn't it? You put balsamic vinegar on strawberries.
Yes.
Well, you'll get through it by, 2032. Good on you, Jenny. Thank you.
Save the rest for cleaning the floors. Good way to clean moss or slip, like at the end of winter when you get that slippery moss on bricks. Best way to get rid of it, 2 litres of vinegar. Just pour it all over it and rub it on with the garden broom.
And if you do need vinegar, go to Jenny's pop-up shop in Salisbury North.
Jenny, for all your vinegar needs.
Someone on the text line says I bought $300 worth of paint on my way home to start the lockdown. I thought I'd relax for the first 3 days and then we'd get up and then be getting sent back to work. Paint still sitting there untouched. I reckon there's a lot of jobs around the house that I'll get to those after the first couple of days of lockdown. And then lockdown ended.
We should actually, at some stage, interview the guys at Goodings in Theban and Bacon Street about what it was like, in High Marsh, about what it was actually like at the start of the pandemic. Because, those in the know, when the apocalypse is coming, when you're going to be ensconced in the house, you go straight to Goodings.
5AA Breakfast boss Lucy Loken is in the studio.
Hey,
morning,
boss.
Luce.
Hello. Changing tack.
Yeah.
Nigella Lawson watch.
Oh, have you spotted her? She's here right now.
I wish she was. No, she went to FIVEaa restaurant last night in
Lucky
Lee
her.
Street.
She's been slumming it, hasn't she? Parwana to FIVEaa.
Parwana Saturday, FIVEaa Tuesday night. Yes,
That's the
it's
old
Wednesday.
Regainies. It used to be Regainies.
Now she's clearly in Adelaide still. So she's been seen out twice. But both of those photos on Instagram have come from the chefs at each respective cafe or restaurant. Their restaurants. So if anyone sees Nigella this morning, can you bring us?
Yeah, Nigella watch.
And we will give you not only 1 keep cup, but 2.
Oh, wow. You're doubling up.
If you see Nigella Lawson in Adelaide this morning or tomorrow, if she's still here, if you see her anywhere,
So she's here for MasterChef?
No, My Kitchen Rules.
My Kitchen Rules.
The other one.
Okay.
They're in the middle of filming. She's joined the team. Pete Evans, we know, is long gone. My Kitchen Rules is yet to start on Channel 7.
Selling lava lamps somewhere.
Yeah, salt crystals or whatever. But Nigella is here for filming, I'm assuming, at the moment. So if anyone sees Nigella Lawson...
Based on her movements to date, just pick whatever the best, trendiest breakfast place in Adelaide is, because that's probably where she'll be at this morning.
Yeah. Has anyone got a trendy coffee shop that they think she ought to go to as well?
Oh, maybe a recommendation for Nigella, who we know is a big listener.
Yeah.
I don't really do breakfast much.
$5
What's the trendy breakfast? What's the real hip and happening breakfast place in Adelaide? Is there one?
Oh, there's a million of them.
In my area, Coffee Institute on Walkie Terrace is pretty up there, I would say. Always packed. Delicious coffee. Delicious eggs. Granola. The like.
See, if I was going to take Nigella Lawson anywhere in the morning, I'd take her to the Central Market.
Well, if anyone's in the markets this morning and sees her, ring me.
And it's... What day of the week is it today?
Wednesday.
No, don't take her to the market today.
No, you have to pay full price for parking.
Yeah, and it's not market day.
Right.
She could get in there and make some make some of those pyramids of apples. Help the fruit shop guys set up for tomorrow and Friday and Saturday.
The markets are at least open today, though.
I tell you what, if you died today and were reborn and the Almighty said, all right, I'm going to give you a choice this time around. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? I think successful chef into celebrity chef is right up there in the choices you could make.
Totally.
So Nigella's job at the moment is to film for a couple of hours on a TV program in Adelaide and in between go around to every best restaurant that we've got.
Yes.
It's a pretty good job.
What's a bad day look like?
You don't have a very good meal. You have a slightly okay meal.
But you'd think you'd be a perfectionist by that point.
That meal was slightly forgettable, you'd say.
Yeah, well, if you're a perfectionist by this point in your career, say she goes out for brunch and the egg she orders isn't right.
Yeah.
That's a bad morning.
The horror.
That's your profession and you're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Like you are. And you have to go through the horror of the bad eggs almost every morning.
That's right.
Tom says My Kitchen Rules is filming in Grey Street, Nord. So maybe something in that area.
God, I literally used to live one street over from there.
Well, maybe.
Damn it.
We should ask Stephen Marshall. He might be showing around some of the spots.
Grey Street Nord, very tiny little street, only sort of one way, cars parked down one side.
He's actually, Steve's texted, he said Argo is the best hip and happening.
Yes,
see?
Argo.
This is what we like.
Okay.
Let's get our Nigella recommendations happening.
All right, good stuff,
The
Lewis.
member for Dunstan. Norwood probably is the go-to suburb for a flash breakfast, don't you think?
Yeah, Norwood's got some good ones.
There's What's the one in Lot 14? Is it Lot 14 at Brompton?
No.
Plant 4. That's what plants.
Lot
And
14's
Jane with
on
my
Lot
grandma
Terrace.
Ben, I think, in there is really nice.
Jane with
a
a
girl I went
Y.
to school with runs that.
Oh, really?
Fun fact.
Yeah. It's a really good place.
Jane with a Y said she'd take Nigella to Mercato at Campbelltown. That's a good call. That's an amazing place.
I like the
Mercato.
person who just texted in saying McDonald's.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a McMuffin. I like it. I like the odd McMuffin.
The McCafe revolution is an underrated business pivot.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an essay on it one day.
Well, I actually think... Well, for people, I don't really regard breakfast as a meal. I regard it as an occasional treat. I don't have breakfast Monday to Friday. I just have coffee.
That's extraordinary.
Then on the
I don't know
weekends...
how you do that.
I don't eat till 1 p.m.
Oh,
and then
my
on
God.
on the weekends, occasionally, I like a McMuffin. I like a sausage and cheese McMuffin. And for people who aren't into breakfast, the McDonald's drive-through breakfast is excellent because you're in and out in 2 minutes and you can eat and drink everything while you're driving a car. So you can keep moving. It's good for you.
Gives me the twitches thinking about not having breakfast. If I haven't eaten within 15 minutes of waking up, that's the worst version of me that exists.
Seriously?
Oh, I'm a nasty human being to be around if I haven't eaten almost immediately.
See, I actually think it's like an accidental form of fasting because there's that diet now where you're meant to fast for 10 hours.
Yeah. What's it,
Well,
the 2-3, the 4-5?
I don't
It's some
know.
ratio thing,
But I've
isn't
been
it?
doing that all my life without even realising it.
That's right. You were the pioneer of healthy living.
My dad's the same. He doesn't eat breakfast.
All right, let's check traffic, and when we get back, we will have a chat with the Bureau and then SAPOM.
Thanks, Will, and good morning. At Northfield, burst watermain this morning, Grange Junction Road near Foster's Road. Findon, sewer maintenance works this morning, Grange Road near Star Street. As you're heading outbound, speeds at 40 k's, and Plimpton got works this morning on Anzac Highway as you're heading into the city. It's near Charles Street, one lane out of action and slow going at the moment. Cameras to look out for: Foster's Road, Hillcrest, Grand Junction Road at Northfield. Conquer your cravings with a succulent Red Rooster quarter chicken with deliciously crispy chips for just $5. The Rooster's calling. Get it where you can, while you can. Available till 4 p.m. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
I'm Rachel Swift, health specialist, small business owner, volunteer and Liberal candidate for Boothby. I know what's important to you. A strong economy means reduced cost of living and a stronger future. Vote 1 for Rachel Swift in Boothby.
Authorised S. Meldrum, Liberal, Adelaide.
Do you know how protective your face mask really is? Is it PPE Tech protected? PPE Tech manufactures tight-fitting P2 certified face masks. That means they're proven to filter more than 98% of particles. And better yet, they're made right here in Australia. Right now, get free delivery and save up to 40% off disposable P2 face masks. Don't settle for anything less than Australian-made PPE Tech P2 face masks. Order online at ppetech.com.au today. ppetech.com.au.
Barossa Village in Angaston, Tanunda and Nurriutpa gives you the retirement lifestyle that you deserve and the safety and security you need to make you feel at home.
Now, Barossa Village has been a trusted part of the local community for more than 5 decades. Now more than ever, they understand how important your health and well-being are to you, and that's why they've invested heavily in the pathways for care, including independent living, supported accommodation and residential care options.
And the best is yet to come with new projects, including a community hydrotherapy pool, 19 additional beds added to the residential care facility, and refurbishment for their independent living units.
So forget the sea change or the tree change and try a vine change.
Barossa Village. For a safe, secure and more fulfilling life, go to barossavillage.org.
G'day, it's Mark Bickley. Well, it's tax time. The absolute best time to get in touch with your Leader Computers reseller, especially if you run a business. Order and install your new Leader PC before June 30 to get a significant tax deduction, plus amazing pricing from Leader. And with Leader Computers, you're dealing with a true SA company with outstanding local customer support. Live life local. Live life Leader this tax time. Visit leadersystems.com.au to find your closest Leader reseller.
Do you want to win the value of your car service back? Book your service online at North Point Toyota, and one lucky person per month has the chance to have the cost of their service paid back. Book your service online at North Point Toyota and you'll automatically be entered into the draw for your chance to have your service paid back. It's the North Point way. Hillcrest, Prospect, Port Augusta or northpointtoyota.com.au. Some T's and C's apply.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
10 to 7. There's a lot of breakfast recommendations for Nigella Lawson coming through at the moment. We'll get to some of those on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Let's talk about the weather first, because she might find it fairly close to home, given how it feels this morning. Senior forecaster Jenny Horvat is on the line. Jenny, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Will.
So it's pretty frosty start, Jen, but it's been quite nice during the day, and probably going to be a pretty nice day today too when it warms up a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Look, we did see our minimum temperature early this morning at 2:45, and that was 8.4, currently sitting at 11.8 at our West Terrace Nidapira site. We are pretty much aiming for 21 degrees across the suburbs, so for the city, out in the north and along the coast, a little bit cooler up in the hills there. Mount Barker only going for 18 degrees. So pretty mostly sunny this morning, seeing a little bit of high cloud on the other side of the hills. So we do have quite a lot of moisture over the eastern states. So it looks like we're going to start to see our cloud picking up during the day as some of that moisture starts to feed across. So they could see a little bit of light shower activity, most likely on the hills later today. Not expecting too much with that. So that cloud will keep that minimum just a little bit warmer tomorrow. We're looking at a minimum temperature of 13 degrees there on Thursday. Maximum again around 21 degrees, and with all that cloud around, a slight chance of a shower is not out of the question, but we're not expecting anything too significant. Still that cloud hanging around on Friday, so minimum of 14, maximum of 22, and again, slight chance of a shower, but again, not expecting anything too significant with that. Good chance to see showers on Saturday, though. We've got our change coming across from the west. Again, 21 degrees before that comes through, and we are looking to see maybe a few millimetres on the Saturday. That change will leave us in a little bit of a moist airstream, so a chance to see a shower or two on Sunday, 21 again, starting the week again with a shower or two possible Monday, a little bit cooler there, 18 degrees, 18 on Tuesday, still the slight chance to see a little bit of shower activity around. Out on the waters, those winds are pretty light. We're looking at east to southeasterly winds below 10 knots.
Excellent. Good on you, Jenny. Thank you for
Jenny.
that. Jenny Horvat, Senior Forecaster at the Weather Bureau. Let's head to Safe Bowl. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan's on the line. Jen, really sad story. Fatal motorbike accident last night.
Yeah, unfortunately, this was just after 5:30 last night. Patrols and paramedics were called to Old Port Wakefield Road after a motorcyclist and a ute had crashed. So sadly, the 18-year-old rider from Burton died at the scene, and the driver of the ute, a 22-year-old man from Lewiston, wasn't injured. Old Port Wakefield Road was closed while Major Crash attended and examined the scene. And that reopened this morning about 1:15. So unfortunately, the man's death is the 28th life lost on our roads compared to 40 last year. And unfortunately, the 6th motorcycle rider to die on the roads this year.
Yeah, it's very sad news, Jen, and they continue to be sadly overrepresented in the stats as well, motorbike riders.
They do.
Yeah. What's the story with this stolen car and the 3 arrests that SAPOL has made over that?
Yeah, so that was just before 12:30 this morning. Police spotted a Toyota Corolla driving at speed on Causeway Road at Semaphore Park, and patrols directed the car to stop. However, he refused, and Pollard was quickly overhead, followed the car through the back streets of Essleton, where the driver dumped the car on Mackay Street, and all the people ran off. So patrols quickly located 3 men hiding in gardens on O'Connor Street and Peterhead Street at Larks Bay, where they were arrested, and checks revealed that the car was actually a hired vehicle that had been stolen since the 2nd of May, and it was bearing false plates. So 2 men in the 40s and a 25-year-old have been arrested, charged with unlawfully on premises and illegal use of motor vehicles. They're going to Port Adelaide Magistrates Court on the 8th of June.
Good work there. Thank you, Jen. Senior Constable Jen Cullen.
Exactly
That's
right.
your line, Will.
6 minutes to 7. Let's have a look at some texts. Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Long lost friends on McGill Road tried out, Dave. Cheers, Dave. It was
Thanks,
confusing,
Dave.
but I think that's Dave to you.
Dave's not here, man.
The best coffee and cake, BTS in Peary Street. The best, says Susie. These are all recommendations for Nigella Lawson, who's in town, who we were wondering where she is, what is she doing? But based on her movements to this point, we built a profile. She's been to Fugazi. She's been to, what's the other good restaurant she was at? Parwana. She was at Parwana. So we figured she's probably going somewhere good for breakfast. What this has become, though, is people just recommending good breakfast joints, which is perfectly fine by me.
What about some of the Indian joints out on North East Road? Main North Road and North East Road. There's a lot of dosa places out there that do Indian breakfasts.
Really? I've never thought of an Indian having an Indian breakfast
have you
before.
had dosa?
No.
It's that vegetarian pancake.
Yeah.
And it's served with dal and mint sauce on the side.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
wouldn't do it
killer
for breakfast. I wouldn't do it for breakfast.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Joe in Henley Beach says, get into my nephew's cafe, Mr. Pigeon on Gilly Street. Great breakfast menu, but better known for punny toasties with names such as Fleetwood Big Mac, Little Swiss Sunshine, and Temple of Shroom. I like that. That's good, Joe.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Shroom. We're getting a lot of... we're talking about
Lucy
road
loves
trips.
Mr. Pigeon, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't been there. Those singers sound good. Getting a lot of people reminiscing about the road trip. I was rabbiting on at the start of the show about how we never flew anywhere as kids. We only ever had holidays involving piling into the car after we'd picked up the strip maps from the RAA. Josh says, my dad's exactly like yours, Dave. Always had the maps highlighted. We had to leave at a set time. We'd all get a magazine the night before, and we also played BP Spotto. Good on you, Josh. What about this one? I hope there's a statute of limitations on admissions like this. Catherine from Nairn, this is a great story. My most memorable road trip was in Dad's HR Holden from Adelaide to Bendigo in 1974. There were 10 of us in the car. Dad was driving with my uncle, and the two youngest boys were on the front bench seat. Mum and my auntie were in the back with us 4 older kids. I was 7 at the time. There were no seatbelts. 2 of us were car sick. Dad wasn't stopping for anything. We just threw up out the window or down the side of the car. I can't remember the trip home, and I think that's because the horror of it all has been erased from my mind. That's from Catherine in Nairn. Imagine if he did that these days.
Oh, you'd never drive again, I suspect.
Well, you'd get a fine for each untethered child.
Yeah.
So you'd be up for 8 times, what, $700?
And look, we don't want to cross-examine the text line. If you want to confess something to us, we'd love to hear it. But
yeah, absolutely.
I did just double-check. Seatbelts have been law in South Australia since 1967. So they've been around for 7 years at this point.
But wasn't the rule, though, that you had to wear them if your car had been fitted with them? And HRs were made up until about 1967, I reckon.
So
because it was HD, then HR, then the Kingswood series started, I think. They probably stopped making HRs before seatbelts were mandatory.
Technicality, point taken. 3 minutes to 7, coming up after 7 o'clock this morning. Speaking of outdated technology, there's an iconic piece of technology that was launched 20 years ago that is now officially obsolete. It hasn't been cancelled in the modern use of the word. It's been discontinued in the sense that there's no use for it anymore. We'll talk to you about that and take you back to 2001. This was something that it changed the way you consume music. Also, this Sydney bikie shooting needs to be heard about to be believed.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
We're going to play some audio and talk about that too. It's been a while since we've had this kind of gang war sort of situation where you can tie multiple incidents together and multiple killings and executions. We'll talk about that as well. And also, Charles playing the role of the Queen. The reviews are in. We'll talk about what was unfortunately, a very different opening to the British Parliament that took place overnight. 2 minutes to 7.
Bring back from overseas $1 trillion of Australian super. Inject it into the Australian economy. Save your family's future. Vote 1, United Australia Party.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
Go big in the Nissan Patrol and get low monthly repayments with Nissan Future Value, the flexible way to finance your patrol. Contact your Nissan dealer to reserve your patrol today. Limited stock available. Approved private and ABN applicants. T's and C's apply.
Do you know what to do if you can't make it on election day? You may be able to vote at an early voting centre or apply for a postal vote. The federal election will be held on Saturday the 21st of May. All Australian citizens aged 18 years and over must vote. COVID-19 safety measures will be in place. Your vote will help shape Australia. To check early voting options and eligibility or to find your nearest polling place, go to aec.gov.au. Authorised by the Electoral Commissioner, Canberra.
Were you a fan of The Seekers? Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons? Neil Sedaka, the Everly Brothers, or the Bee Gees? Well, don't miss the Robertson Brothers Variety Show. It's a live 1960s variety TV show with special guest Simon Brooke McLaughlin from the Jersey Boys. The Robertson Brothers Variety Show. Tickets on sale now.
Her Majesty's Theatre, Thursday, May 12. Tickets at the venue.
Go Vita, your local health food shops. Over 30 years health and wellness experience and over 300 natural health practitioners specialising in you.
Hi, I'm Sue from Go Vita Semaphore. Come into any of our Go Vita stores for this special. Cleopatra's certified organic apple cider vinegar with the mother, $9.46 ml, $12.95 now, $9.95.
Go Vita, Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Manopara, Semaphore and Tanunda.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming cloudy, 21 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra hands-on physio at 6 locations. Even more convenient. Now with online bookings at physioextra.com.
There's been another death on our roads. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says the victim is a teenage motorcyclist.
This was just after 5:30 last night. Patrols and paramedics were called to Old Port Wakefield Road after a motorcyclist and a ute had crashed. So sadly, the 18-year-old rider from Burton died at the scene, and the driver of the ute, a 22-year-old man from Lewiston, wasn't injured.
The road toll now stands at 28 compared to 40 at this time last year. Police are appealing for witnesses as investigations continue into a schoolyard attack at Whyalla Secondary College. Video has emerged of the moment a 16-year-old girl is set upon by another student. She's kicked, punched and stomped on. Education Minister Blair Boyer says they're taking the incident very seriously.
It's been reported to SAPOL. We will also do our investigations from the department as well, in terms of talking to the school, the principal, about what might have led to that and what other kind of supports and work we need to put around the school to try to prevent it from happening again.
It's another day on the campaign trail ahead of the May 21 poll. Labor leader Anthony Albanese is throwing his support behind a wage hike to match the soaring cost of living. Lucy Gray is covering the campaign.
Mr Albanese is backing a 5.1% increase to the minimum wage this year. The move would bring workers' pay in line with current cost of living, but business warns it could do more harm than good by fueling inflation. The Chamber of Commerce and Industry says any wage hike should be limited to 2.5%. Economic management and integrity in politics will likely dominate tonight's third and final debate of the election campaign between the Labor leader and Prime Minister.
And the Prime Minister is preparing for the Solomon Islands to once again be thrust into the spotlight ahead of the federal election. The Australian reports high-level Chinese officials could touch down in the tiny nation's capital of Honiara as early as this week. The Chinese Foreign Minister is expected to visit a range of Pacific countries. Children in remote and regional areas are experiencing higher rates of developmental vulnerability. A report has found geographical disparities and low socio-economic backgrounds is significantly disadvantaging children under 5. The Front Project Chief Executive Jane Hunt says a postcode shouldn't hinder someone's full learning potential.
The evidence shows that those children then are less likely to finish school and more likely to experience unemployment. So really, too many children are being held back from their potential, not because of ability, but because of the lack of opportunity and support.
The 10 qualifiers from the first Eurovision semi-final have been determined. It includes Greece, Portugal and Ukraine. Australia will compete in tomorrow's other semi-final. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty. 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide youngster Jake Peseni has suffered a major setback after rupturing his ACL at training, which will rule him out for the rest of the season. It's a bitter blow for the 21-year-old who's yet to play an AFL game. Still on footy, in North Melbourne, CEO isn't too concerned by his club's poor start to the season. Jordan Tunbridge reports.
The Kangaroos are not surprised to be second last on the ladder, 1 year and 8 games into a rebuild.
When we studied other successful rebuilds, Lions, Melbourne and others, it's typical that clubs will spend 3 or 4 years at the bottom of the ladder.
Chief Executive Officer Ben Armafio says it will take some time for them to climb up the ladder.
We went into this knowing, eyes wide open, that we were going to be suffering some pain for 3 or 4 years.
He maintains blowout losses are not acceptable, with 40-point defeats the absolute limit.
Let's go to soccer in the A-League last night. Brisbane Roar defeated Sydney FC 3-1. The home and away season is now complete, with the finals to begin this weekend. Adelaide United set to host the Central Coast Mariners at Coopers Stadium on Sunday. And the English Premier League title race remains alive after Liverpool had a 2-1 win against Aston Villa this morning. The Reds are now level with Manchester City on points, but City still has a game in hand. They'll play that against Wolverhampton tomorrow morning. And in the NBA playoffs, wins for the Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Croydon, multi-car smash on South Road near Port Road. Crayfors West, broken down truck on the freeway down track. That's near Measdays Bridge. Northfield, burst water main there. Grand Junction Road near Foster's Road. And busy at the moment, South Road as you're heading through Edwardstown. Cameras, Mount Barker Road at Hardorf and North East Road at Hillcrest. Need some space? Well, right now at 40 Winks, you can get any size mattress for the price of a single. Hurry, ends Sunday. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Want pure water? Filter your home for 20% off. CompleteHomeFiltration.com.au.
21 for your Wednesday, becoming cloudy. Cloudy tomorrow, 21. Cloudy and 22 on Friday. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 7. We're going to hear from the Health Minister, Chris Picton, very, very shortly. Then after 7:30 today, Sean Fewster will join us. We'll go round the courts. John Blake before 8 o'clock. And we'll get you across in some more depth some of the big stories that have developed overnight and throughout the morning. Including this extraordinary bikie shooting that's played out in Sydney. It's extraordinary not for necessarily just the event in isolation, although that is in and of itself quite remarkable, but because it's now a pattern of events that suggests there is something major that's going on at the moment. It's resulted overnight in the death of the brother of Comanchero bikie boss Tarek Zahid. The pair was shot in the foyer of a Western Sydney gym last night. So
one of them was shot 10 times, but he's still alive.
Yeah. So this is the thing. You picture shooting and you picture pistols and a couple of, and maybe execution style in these kind of bikie-related incidents. This is a gym that was shot up. And there's a huge amount of gunfire exchange. Here's Gabby Boyle for 9 News describing it.
We know there is some who will say this could have been predicted. Certainly, we understand both men had been warned by police in recent weeks that trouble was brewing. Both men, brothers, are connected to the Comancheros bikie gang. Tarek Zahed is in a critical condition at Westmead Hospital, suffering at least 10 gunshot wounds. His brother, Ahmed Zahed, died here at the scene. Carl, it was about 8 p.m. last night here at the Body Fit gym on Parramatta Road at Auburn that a number of shots have fired out. In fact, some have described it as an absolute hail of bullets. They've been fired through the front door of this gym, striking both men. Naturally, this prompted a very quick response from members of the public calling 000. Both men were treated at the scene, but as I said, Omer Zahed died here at the scene. His brother raced to hospital in a critical condition this morning. Certainly this remains a massive crime scene. New South Wales Police absolutely crawling here, every aspect of this crime scene. And they're also looking at 2 nearby locations in Greenacre and Barella, and that is where 2 burnt out cars have been located. So 3 crime scenes for New South Wales Police to pick through this morning.
See, as night follows day, the Comancheros aren't going to be sitting around in their headquarters this morning going, that's terribly sad. We'll just cop that on the chin.
Well, if you follow back, and look, we don't know, we're not major crime, but if you look back at recent incidents, maybe there's something of a pattern developing. Just last month, a 39-year-old by the name of Mahmoud Brownie Ahmed was killed. He had $1 million bounty on his head. Was killed after leaving an associate's home in Greenacre. He had recently got out of jail for killing someone outside of a Condell Park smash repair shop in 2016. Now, I don't know that these things are all related, but it kind of feels like they might be.
Absolutely. Those blokes, they're just such degenerates. One of the things about Sydney, there's certain real macho hardcore, and you see the way they walk and carry themselves, their shiny tracksuits and the chains and the Everlast shirts and everything else, and you think, God, it's just the most warped definition of masculinity.
Yeah, absolutely. The other end of things that are happening in the world is the Andy Warhol Marilyn print auction that took place yesterday. We spoke about this, the shop Marilyn that had a listed price of $200 million, which would make it the most expensive print ever sold.
Bid for the Warhol Marilyn. All done. Last chance, fair warning. Alex, you're out. Giovanna, and you're out too. Alvia, last chance at $170 million. And Alex Rotter, you're definitely out as well. Here it is then, the general's bid, ladies and gentlemen, at $170 million for the Warhol is selling here to you, sir. $170 million.
So this was the Shot Sage Blue Marilyn, went for $170 million. With the fees attached, it meant it got up to $195 million US, 281 million Australian dollars. It becomes the record breaker. It didn't get the $200 million that some had expected beforehand, but it broke the previous record for an American artwork at auction, which was $110.5 million back in 2017.
$110 million in 2007. What was that for, do you know?
The Jean-Michel Basquiat, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the artist.
No.
I'm not even know how to say the name.
No.
But the Andy Warhol print, $195 million. It's just a staggering amount of money.
You wouldn't want to drop it when you're hanging it on the wall, would you?
No.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. Do you hang it with just one of those sort of, that little bit of string and, you know...
the old 3M self-adhesive.
Yeah, is that...
yeah, I think
you go something
a bit in for that.
Bet something a bit stronger.
Yeah.
The iPod was introduced back on the 23rd of October 2001. It's now the 11th of May 2022, and the iPod is officially extinct. Apple has announced overnight that it's discontinuing the iPod. It doesn't exist anymore. You can buy them while stocks last. They last updated in 2019.
Did you have one?
Absolutely, I had one.
Yeah, I got one.
Here's Steve Jobs describing this piece of technology that hadn't been sold yet back in October 2001.
What is iPod? iPod is an MP3 music player, has CD quality music, and it plays all of the popular open formats of digital music, MP3, MP3 variable bitrate, WAV, and AIFF. But the biggest thing about iPod is it holds 1,000 songs. Now, this is a quantum leap because for most people, it's their entire music library. This is huge. How many times have you gone on the road with a CD player and said, oh God, I didn't bring the CD I wanted to listen to? To have your whole music library with you at all times is a quantum leap in listening to music. But the coolest thing about iPod is that your entire music library fits in your pocket.
It's at the time completely revolutionary.
Quite a lot of work too, because you had to, if you got a CD, you'd upload the CD back in the days when you could put CDs into computers, and then you'd drag the song into your iTunes library, and then you'd sync it by putting your iPod into your computer, and it would upload the new album onto your iPod, so you'd have your latest record there to listen to.
Can you imagine being the person that invented the iPod, which was the hottest piece of technology in the world, but when we look back over the sweep of human history, it lasted for 20 years before it was made completely obsolete.
It's hard to imagine what 20 years from now things are going to look like, and people are joking about how we used to have this thing called Spotify.
Well, that's right.
There's something very satisfying about the original iPod. I've still got mine and it still works, and occasionally I still use it. Because it had my whole record collection at the time in it, augmented with some extra LPs from my mate Richard Vowers, who's got great taste in music. He uploaded all of his stuff. But using that wheel and that
well,
it's
this
really
is the thing.
satisfying. It's a very good designed thing.
I went back and watched that presentation by Steve Jobs this morning, and the point he makes in it, other people had made MP. They didn't invent the MP. They didn't invent the mobile music device. People had MP3 players, but Apple, it was just their design that was revolutionary. It was tactile. It was nice, and therefore it was one of the reasons that now the biggest company on earth, depending on where the share price is at any given moment. It started with that, came to the iPhone, which is obviously the thing that's made the iPod obsolete. I wouldn't be too concerned for the inventor of the iPod in terms of how they'll be remembered in the history of tech, Tony Fadell, because he's the same guy who invented the iPhone.
Oh, so he's done pretty well.
So he's done okay. His contributions to handheld technology will be remembered. All right, let's.
Still got to say though, if you really want to get the most out of music, just get an old record player.
Yeah, I've got an old record player.
It's great, isn't it?
They're terrific.
It's very satisfying.
Interesting time it came in the history of music too, in the early 2000s, because the music industry, people talk about it now, the challenges with online streaming. They were worse in 2000 because illegal music, people were downloading it and ripping it off everything. And the iPod and the process by which you could transfer songs from CDs was actually good for them. It was actually it was a good thing that changed, and then streaming came along, and they obviously were able to monetize the process.
Yeah.
But for a period there, it was the total Wild West.
Oh, well,
no one paid for anything anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just admitted that I did it with my mate's record collection. Although what I used to do, I'd listen to albums, and then if I didn't like them, I'd delete them. So I'd use it as a sampling thing. And if I did like them, I'd buy them on vinyl.
Yeah. The Southeastern Freeway near Crayford, there's an incident, a truck collision, so the speed limit down to 40 k's an hour for traffic heading towards the city. Southeastern Freeway near Crayford, delays are expected, and the South Australian Infrastructure and Transport Department are saying please avoid the area and take an alternate route if you can. I don't know if there's how many alternate routes are there on the freeway.
Well, I suppose you can
go the long way
around through Blackwood.
Good luck with that. For more traffic information, we'll head to the traffic network, and then when we return, we'll be talking health with Health Minister Chris Picton.
Thanks, Will. At Croydon, multi-car smash on South Road near Port Road. Crayford West, broken down truck on the freeway at Down Track near Meesdays Bridge. Northfield, burst water main there. Grand Junction Road near Foster's Road, and Findon sewer maintenance works Grange Road near Star Street. It's as you're heading outbound. Busy South Road through Edwardstown with cameras Blacks Road, Gillis Plains, and South Terrace at Paraka. The federal election is on Saturday, May 21st. If you're unable to make it to a polling place on election day, you may be eligible to vote early. Learn more at aec.gov.au/early. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Join 5AA each night from midnight for Australia Overnight.
Hi, it's Tony Moclair here, host of Australia Overnight. Thrilled and delighted, joined by listeners from 5AA, Adelaide's best radio station.
Tony Moclair takes your calls right through the early hours.
And those listeners contributing to the Australia Overnight program and being part of the larger family.
Catch Australia Overnight.
Welcome aboard 5AA.
Live from midnight on Adelaide's 5AA.
I'm Rachel Swift, health specialist, small business owner, volunteer and Liberal candidate for Boothby. I listen and will be the strongest advocate for our community. A strong economy means a stronger future. Vote 1 for Rachel Swift in Boothby.
Authorised Best Meldrum, Liberal Adelaide.
There's no blueprints to your new custom-built Beechwood home. Well, not yet anyway. But together with Beechwood, it won't take long to turn your ideas into sketches, then drawings, and finally a home you can live a beautiful life in. That's the really exciting thing about building with Beechwood Homes. They'll build the home you want. So collect your thoughts, your ideas, your Pinterest boards, whatever, and let's talk. Because life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
Imagine the thought of innovation at your fingertips, accelerating with efficiency and power. Imagine a bold, striking design with the comfort and confidence of advanced safety tech. Imagine where you could go in a Hyundai SUV. An SUV range with enough style, tech and performance to turn your imagination into reality. So if you're thinking SUV, think Hyundai SUV. Discover yours at hyundai.com.au.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you'll receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
Hi, Rodney Jane here. When it comes to tyres and wheels, Bob Jane T-Marts looks after you in more ways than one. Buy 3, get 1 free, and up to $100 instant cashback on a great selection of top tyre brands including Bridgestone, Yokohama, Dunlop, Michelin, Goodyear and J-Trax. Buy 4 Monster wheels and off-road tyres and enter to win an Oztrack camper trailer. Plus over 2Ks of extras from HEMA and GME. We'll look after you.
T's and C's apply. SA permit number T22367.
Wow! Right now at Target, get 20% off women's, men's and kids' sleepwear. That's 20% off sleepwear for the family. But hurry, offers end May 11. Conditions apply. Find more in-store and online. That's wow! That's Target.
9
News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 minutes after 7. We spoke about it earlier in the week. Really disturbing story where a woman with a fractured hip had to wait out in the cold for more than an hour at the Lowell McEwen's emergency department. It happened about a week ago now. Was just no room in the inn, so to speak. The Health Minister is Chris Picton and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Minister, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will and Pembo.
So, Minister, how did it get to this? I mean, it just seems like such a sort of flint-hearted policy to leave people sitting around in the cold, particularly someone who is as elderly as Mrs. Wortley is.
Well, look, I completely agree. I mean, I think it was pretty shocking when we saw what happened. I think back last year when the borders were opened, a policy was put in place there where people were given a rat test before they came into the emergency department to clear them for COVID, so they didn't spread COVID inside the emergency department. And that, you could say maybe that was acceptable in summer, but certainly as we are getting into winter, it's becoming unacceptable. And then to add to that, clearly there's been issues where, if you look at what happened with Mrs. Wortley, clearly she wasn't there for just the 15 minutes that you need to do a rat test, that she was there a lot longer, and that clearly was unacceptable. So we've taken some pretty swift action to stop that from happening. We've done some work with Professor Spurrier across the emergency departments to standardise the process, because this wasn't happening at other emergency departments, and to say that people can come inside in the warmth, do their rat tests inside, have a mask on appropriately, and that's in place now, and we don't want to see this happen to other people. And now we're also launching an investigation, and I've appointed Chris Bagley, who's former Chief Medical Officer of Australia, to investigate the circumstances as to what happened.
Is there a need, do you think, Minister, to go through and look at some of the sort of lingering policies that are in place from COVID? I was talking to someone the other day about the CAFS, the Child and Adolescent Health Service at the moment. My understanding is that there are still bedrock tests for children under 5, a whole bunch of which were done as a matter of course for infants, newborns and toddlers pre-COVID, that still aren't being done. Things like vision tests, for example, that you can't take your kid into CAFS because, it's because of COVID. Like, it's a bit like yesterday's Breaking at 8 about the policy with grandparents being banned from sports days still. Like, are there things that should have only applied in a COVID environment that you now need a broader look at these things so we can get back to normal?
Well, I think that's probably a fair point. I think that, there's been procedures put in place over the last 2 years where we didn't have a vaccine in place, we didn't have a vaccinated population broadly, and now we can look at those things and make sure that we really have the appropriate protections in place. I think that there still are some high-risk settings where you do need masks in hospitals, in aged care. Some of those really high-risk, vulnerable people would be involved. But, some of the restrictions, certainly as I become aware of things, if we can take action to fix them, I certainly will be doing that.
Just trying to make sense of something I read in the Tysers coverage, Minister. Is one of the things that's been changed a contingency for outdoor heating in the event people are made to wait outside?
Yeah, look, the emergency department is currently undergoing a major redevelopment, and so the space inside is limited. I went personally the other night, unannounced, no advisors, no officials or anything, because I wanted to see for myself and speak to the doctors and nurses on the front line, and they were comfortably able to accommodate everybody inside, even though it was a really, really busy night. So my advice is that it's going to be very, very rare in which that would need to happen, but there is limited space for the next couple of months while this redevelopment's going on in the waiting room.
Rare, though. So people still be waiting outside? Is there there's no other room?
Well, we are doing everything we possibly can to make sure that people will be inside. That was in place for a really busy night when I was there Monday night. But, if there was to be such an instance where not everyone could physically fit, then we need to make sure that what Mrs. Wortley went through doesn't happen in terms of no heating or blankets or anything else. But what's going to happen in the next couple of months is a long delayed, 18-month delayed emergency department extension is going to open with new waiting room area, and so that won't be a possibility after then.
Chris Picton, the Minister for Health, thank you for joining us this morning. We also have Ashton Hearn, who's the Shadow Minister for Health in the Liberal Opposition, on the line. Ashton, thank you for joining us. What's your assessment of the way this is being handled?
Well, I think the scenes that we saw on Mother's Day, Willem Pembo, was shambolic and deeply concerning. I don't think it's good enough that COVID is used as an excuse to keep a 92-year-old woman out in the freezing weather. I don't think that the Labor Party ever said COVID was a factor when they were politicising circumstances in the health system during the election campaign. They said they'd fix it, and more than that, they've actually been saying that progress has already been made. So I doubt that your listeners would fall for that, given what we've seen in the past. And frankly, I think it's concerning that the minister refuses to rule out people waiting outside. It's basically a lucky dip. If you arrive to the Lyell McEwen Hospital and it's at capacity, you are still going to be waiting outside. And as we're heading into winter, that's hugely concerning.
Ashton Hearn, the Shadow Minister for Health there, thank you for that.
26 minutes after 7. Maybe if anyone's been in that scenario or witnessed it, they could give us a call and let us know. 8223 0000. You can text us on the Telstra Stormont Bark text line. Let's turn our attention to sport. Book your service online at North Point Total to win the cost back. It is the North Point way. This was a really interesting conversation topic last night because I actually think this one extends beyond the realms of sport, albeit sport's a good, safe place in which to have the chat. Rowie was asking the question, is the good old-fashioned coach's spray gone?
Round 3. Lions absolutely smoked North. This is North Melbourne by 108 points. Kangaroos coach David Noble, who we know really well, a very smart, measured, intelligent football man, has been in the footy industry for a number of years. He's one of my favourite football people. He gave the team, apparently, an almighty spray. Some were a bit taken aback. It was a good old-fashioned spray, what I would call cold baked beans out the can. I give it to my kids every now and then. The reason I can give cold baked beans out the can, so to speak, it's just a figure of speech, is because I love them and they love me.
Right.
There's mutual respect. So the millennials, you've got to hug and kiss and all that sort of stuff. You can't do both, apparently, now. So is it fire and brimstone? Is it my way or the highway, peeling the paint off the walls spray? Are they gone? Is it now DMs on the phone, huggies, choose your words differently? It's not one size fits all. You can't give an old-fashioned spray.
I agree with Rowie, and I actually think this is the sporting equivalent of the conversation you and I were having, Will, yesterday at the start of the program about the Principals Association, talking about the real fear is that some kids might not do well in NAPLAN and that you needed some sort of...
Adjusted difficulty testing.
Yeah, adjusted difficulty testing. It's like, well, actually, no, maybe the whole point of getting blunt feedback is to let you know that you're not on the right path. It's not because you get a kick out of humiliating people, but there are times where it's like, okay, part of this is you've got a difficulty with something, part of this is you're not trying enough. So lift. The last part of that sentence these days, there's a certain type of youngster who will have an attack of the vapours and say, I need to lie down, someone's just told me I'm no good at something.
Well, you don't know what else is going on in my life, that kind of response. But you know what the thing is, I feel the way I feel about this, and anyone who's in management now will say, yeah, the way I got spoken to, you can't speak to young people anymore. It's probably, we liked it when everything was straight up and down, and you might go, it was better, and it's a sad indictment of where things are at. But if you're an AFL coach, you actually kind of think, well, that is where it's at, though. You can't re-engineer how people have been brought up.
Imagine David Parkin coaching now.
You wouldn't.
Smashing phones.
It wouldn't last. I tell you what would happen. This happens a lot. Players have more agency now than they've ever had in all sports. Players say, you know what? We don't have to stand for this. And they would...
Well, on the upside, if Jason Horne-Francis chooses to come back to Adelaide because of the toxic environment over there at Arden Street, happy days.
And he'll never get yelled at. Let's make that commitment right now. If he comes back, you won't even hear a raised voice for as long as he lives.
Yeah, Nixie will give him a hug every week. As will 60,000 Crow supporters.
29 minutes after 7. It's a great chat because I think every industry can go, well, hang on.
The best line on this is in one of the films that you and I both love, The Departed.
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg. Who the F are you? I'm the guy who can do his job. You must be the other guy.
Great scene.
If you say stuff like that in the modern workplace, you're off to HR faster. You can say, something inappropriate at the Christmas party.
Book your service online at North Point Toyota to win the cost back. It is the North Point way.
7 News is Adelaide's news. Adelaide's #1 weather.
Looking at cooler temperatures by the end of the week, though.
And first for Adelaide sports news.
First 2 breaking news.
Adelaide's leading local news. 7 News at 6.
Pay back Liberal and Labor's $1 trillion of debt with the UAP's 15% iron ore export licence on Asian manufacturing. Vote 1, United Australia Party.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
Have you thought about where your face mask was made? Remember, not all face masks are made the same. So when it comes to protecting yourself and your family, think PPE Tech. 100% Australian owned and made. PPE Tech manufactures P2 face masks that comfortably seal to your face and filter more than 98% of particles. Now is the time to protect all Australians and support Aussie-made products. Order online to receive up to 40% off and free delivery at ppetech.com.au. That's ppetech.com.au.
Like cold showers? Make sure the only steam coming from your house is from the shower, not your head. Regular maintenance of your hot water service by a Master Plumbers member will ensure your hot water continues to flow. And a hot water system check right now might save you a torrent of cash down the track. Trust a Master Plumbers member to complete the job. Contact one of our trusted, qualified and local members. Go to findaMasterPlumber.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming cloudy, 21 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
Shocking vision has emerged of a schoolyard attack so vicious it's prompted police to launch a full investigation. Video shows a 16-year-old girl repeatedly kicked, punched in the head and stomped on by a fellow student at Whyalla Secondary College. She was taken to hospital with concussion and minor face injuries. Education Minister Blair Boyer says it's extremely distressing.
I've spoken to the principal at the school just to try to offer my support there because it's obviously been a hell of a time for them as well. And I've reached out to the family of the girl who was assaulted. I haven't heard back from them yet, but I wanted to have a chat to them about how she's doing and just see if there's any support they need that they're not currently getting.
3 men have been arrested after a chase involving a stolen hire car. Senior Constable Jan Cullinan says the Toyota Corolla was spotted speeding on Causeway Road at Semaphore Park.
Polo was quickly overhead, followed the car through the back streets of Ethelton, where the driver dumped the car on Mackay Street, and all the people ran off. So patrols quickly located 3 men hiding in gardens at Larks Bay, where they were arrested, and checks revealed that the car was actually a hired vehicle that had been stolen since the 2nd of May, and it was bearing false plates.
The man's died after his motorbike made contact with a ute north of Adelaide. It happened on Old Port Wakefield Road at Virginia yesterday afternoon. The 18-year-old rider from Burton died at the scene. Business confidence is in the spotlight today. Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says SA has outperformed the other states and territories in the latest NAB business survey.
South Australia's recorded the highest levels of business confidence across the country, and that's really encouraging that in the last 2 months we've seen improvements to our national rankings when it comes to business confidence.
Developing more highly skilled jobs has been a focal point of the election campaign as both leaders prepare for their last debate ahead of polling day. Michael Packey is travelling with the Prime Minister.
Scott Morrison will announce the third of his Trailblazer programs, which are partnerships with universities to help train students in specific areas. The PM will announce a $50 million business and research partnership with the University of New South Wales and University of Newcastle. Both institutions will work with various companies to develop high-tech clean energy projects. The program is expected to create 1,600 jobs over 4 years.
The Queen's speech has been delivered by Prince Charles at the state opening of British Parliament. The monarch reluctantly pulled out of the event on doctor's advice as she struggles with ongoing mobility issues. The Prince referencing the upcoming 70th anniversary of his mother's reign.
In this year of the Platinum Jubilee, Her Majesty looks forward to the celebrations taking place across the United Kingdom and throughout the Commonwealth, and to the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham this summer.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide could be without defender Riley Bonner for up to a month. That's after he hurt his ankle against the Bulldogs last Friday night. The Power are searching for a fourth straight win when they travel to Tasmania to take on North Melbourne on Saturday. Former captain Travis Boak telling Channel 9 the influence of coach Ken Hinkley to turn things around has been enormous.
There was a lot of negative talk about Ken. You know, he was probably the most measured and calmest of everyone, and that's what you want from your senior coach and your guy in charge, and he's just been incredible, and it's the reason why we're starting to get a few more results.
Well, the long-running dispute between Heretia Lumumba and his old club Collingwood is escalating. The 35-year-old has tweeted recordings of conversations with former coach Nathan Buckley. Buckley's responded saying a full and uncut recording of their conversations needs to be made public and that he went above and beyond to help Lumumba. To soccer now, Liverpool's dreams of another EPL title remain alive after a gutsy come-from-behind 2-1 win against Aston Villa. The Reds were 1-0 down after only 3 minutes but found an equaliser just 3 minutes after that before Sadio Mane found the winner just after the hour mark.
Shota and Mane! Perhaps the goal that keeps the flame alive!
Indeed, that audio thanks to Optus. Liverpool is now level with Manchester City on points, but City still has a game in hand. And Aussie surfer Sally Fitzgibbons has secured a wild card spot to compete on next year's World Tour. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Croydon, multi-car smash on South Road near Port Road. Speeds reduced there. At Crafers West, got a truck crash on the freeway down track. Speeds reduced. That's going to cause a few delays on the drive in. And Northfield burst water main, Grand Junction Road near Foster's Road. Busy South Road through Edwardstown, and we've got cameras Grand Junction Road, Northfield, Lyons Road at Holden Hill. For a limited time, all OTR pies and sausage rolls are just $2 every Friday. Head in store or order on the app. T's and C's apply. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Want pure water? Filter your home for 20% off. CompleteHomeFiltration.com.au.
Becoming cloudy with a top of 21 today, 21 tomorrow, then Friday cloudy and 22. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
There are some things in SA that are better off together, like the Popeye and the Torrens, Fritz and Sauce, the Mall's Balls. But if you're after the perfect pair, you can't go past your seniors card paired with a National Pharmacies membership. Your seniors card entitles you to an exclusive National Pharmacies membership offer, and you'll benefit with up to 70% off prescription medication, 20% off prescription glasses and sunnies, and much more. So talk to our friendly team at National Pharmacies and join the community that cares for yours.
Go big in the Nissan Patrol. It's got a huge 5.6-litre V8, a 3.5-tonne brake towing capacity, and effortless off-road performance. Pre-order your Patrol at your Nissan dealer today. T's and C's apply.
I'm Henry. At first, COVID was exactly what I expected. You know, sore chest, aching muscles, headache, all the symptoms you hear about. What I didn't expect was the exhaustion and fatigue that followed. Even though I was young, healthy and double vaxxed, my lungs still struggle to breathe. And I have no idea when I'll feel normal again.
Double vaxxed isn't fully vaxxed. Book your third COVID shot now.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22-8, John Blake shortly. The Lord Mayor of Adelaide's anniversary after 8:30 today. More of your calls and texts as well. 8223 You can text us as well on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line 044808 1395. Right now, though, we're going round the courts because Sean Fuster is live in the studio with us. Crime Stoppers SA and Police Credit Union supporting better communities. crimestopperssa.com.au. Morning to you, Sean.
Guys, good morning. Being called the bright side of the road, I don't think the Sir Samuel Way building's ever been referred to that way in its entire existence. Or maybe when it was still Charles Moore. Maybe then it was the bright side of the road.
Does that make the magistrates call it the sunny side of the street, given it's on the other side of Angus Street?
Down on the corner.
It's never
well, look, Willie and the poor boys are quite often around there. They're poor because they've had to pay their legal aid bill. No, not really.
The Magistrates Court would be the bright side of the street compared to the Samuel A building, given the level of seriousness that the offences there normally entail compared to the Supreme Court.
I think you're underestimating the proximity of FIVEaa water. I'm sure that's probably the bright side of the road, seeing they keep us in water.
Now, what about this Japanese bloke? We talked about this creep. Oh, sorry, alleged creep on the show a couple of days ago.
Nice recovery there.
What happened with him in court yesterday, Sean?
So this was interesting. So this man appeared in court and he didn't understand what was going on. Quite simply, he wasn't able to follow. He was on the video link and he actually wasn't able to follow what was going on. And his duty solicitor explained to the court, Your Honour, he doesn't have the English required to understand. I'm trying to communicate with him before he came into court and I wasn't able to.
What's his background?
We don't know yet. We just know that he's a Japanese man who can't speak enough English to understand a court case. Because we couldn't get that far.
Is he a tourist or is he a student? Or
Nobody can get that information out of him because he doesn't understand enough to communicate. He probably doesn't really fully understand what's going on. So they said, can we get a translator down here? Unfortunately, the translation service, which does a fantastic job for the courts in South Australia, isn't a lights on, lights off, flip a switch kind of thing. You need to book somebody in advance so they can find a native speaker and have them ready. I've been to court cases where they've booked a translator 2 or 3 weeks in advance, and if the person's ill that day or unavailable, that's it. The case has to be adjourned. So the magistrate had no choice. He's like, this is your first appearance, but you're going to have to spend the night in custody because I can't get a translator down here so that you can understand what's going on. Do you understand? And the man on the video screen just stared straight ahead to the point where the remand centre staff actually nudged him and said, did you hear that? And he just looked at them, just completely no comprehension.
How old is the
25.
Oh, so he's a young guy.
Yeah. Watanabe is his surname.
And he's accused of
indecently assaulting a girl on a bus. Yeah, we don't even know the circumstances of that yet. All we know is what the police have told us, which is the allegation that he was sitting on the bus, she was sitting on the bus, there was an indecent assault of some kind, she then moved to another seat and then got off the bus.
Is there video of all this happening?
We don't even know that. See, this is the thing. If the defendant can't understand what's going on, you can't start talking about the case because at the end of the day, the defendant has to be able to understand what's going on so they can instruct their counsel.
Well, this guy speaks such little English that he can't comprehend any of this. It sounds like potentially it's a bit of a ruse to me.
Look, we don't know. It's one of those things. How do you do a sniff test on that? You know, how do you actually figure that out? Especially in the era of COVID, where the person's not being brought into court physically. So you've got a duty solicitor who's got, umpteen cases that day. This is just one of many that she's representing. Trying to talk to this bloke on the phone, down the phone to the to the City Watch House, saying, this, that and the other, and just getting nothing back. It's not like she can walk over to her client and tap on the glass of the dock and say, hey, did you get that?
When's that going to change? A lot of other things have gone back to normal in the world.
Look, I'll be honest, probably never.
Really?
It does seem to be very much fitting the, what would you call it, the economy of space in the Magistrates Court. It seems to be fitting the efficiency
so
of
it
things.
Suits everyone.
It seems to be suiting everybody, yeah, especially for overnight arrests like that. You used to be a case of you would, wait 20, 30 minutes for someone to be brought across, and they'd walk them across the little back that you've seen on news footage. Now, press a button, walk them into a suite, there they are, do it. If they get released, they get bailed out the back of the City Watch House. If they don't, they go out the other gates to the remand centre, the end.
So is this one back on the docket today?
Back on the docket today, sometime after 10 o'clock.
Okay.
My colleague Lucy Rutherford's going to be heading in for it.
Yeah.
So keep watch on advertiser.com.au for an update on that.
That's such an interesting story. We certainly will be keeping across that one. Another interesting one, you've had a couple of young men in the dock due to death by dangerous driving this week.
That's right. First young man was the one who is allegedly caused the death of young Jai Clark by dangerous driving. You remember this is the rollover at Paracombe, the buggy, the ATV-style buggy that's rolled over. Jai was a tennis champion out northeast area, beloved kid, had a bright future, unfortunately died as a result of this rollover. One of his mates, a 16-year-old, is now facing court charged with causing death by dangerous driving. And that was a surprise to all of us because after Jai passed, there was no word whatsoever of any form of police investigation or charges being laid. All of a sudden, this kid's now in the in the youth court, charged with this offence.
And they were friends.
They were friends.
Ugh.
The allegation appears to be at this point that they were driving the buggy on private land, then they crossed onto Pitt Road at Paracombe to go to a different set of private land, and the rollovers happened on the street. So because it's happened on the street, you're back in the realm of the Road Traffic Act, you're back in the realm of public roads, you're back in the realm of being charged with causing death by dangerous driving.
Geez, you wonder what the dynamics are of all that between the families as well. How horrible.
Look, it can't be easy. I mean, this is one of those situations where so many people are involved. The broader tennis community out Modbury and Tea Tree Gully Way, school community, several different schools, the Paracombe community. There's nothing good in this, you know. This is just... At the moment, it could be seen as a tragic accident, but whether that tragic accident is caused by recklessness is the question.
Yeah.
Because, of course, if it is, we're in the territory of causing death by dangerous driving.
So, causing death by dangerous driving, give us the particulars on this particular charge again. So, maximum penalty?
15 years.
Typical, what we would usually see?
3 to 4 years.
3 to 4. And what's the hurdle in terms of proving it?
So, you have to prove that it's a speed or a manner of driving that's dangerous, that the person behind the wheel was culpably negligent or otherwise posed a risk to road users.
Okay.
So it's everything from... It's not looking down at the iPod and looking up again and having a fender bender. That's driving without due care. This is putting your foot flat to the floor, being drugged, being high, being drunk, weaving erratically all over the road, doing donuts, showing off. That's the sort of stuff that elevates it potentially.
And just quickly, Sean, there's a second one in the youth court involving the Millicent family.
That's right. And this one was really controversial yesterday. This is Ned, Nan Walker and their daughter Sue Skier, who died in the same crash. The 17-year-old that's accused of killing them will go to trial next month in the youth court. Defence counsel for the boy yesterday asked that the family not be allowed into court during the trial.
Why not?
Well, they said that their client has an autism disorder and gets upset in confrontational situations, and they're worried that the anger of the family, which they called problematic, would cause the family to misbehave in court and wanted the judge to censor them.
I mean, in its own tangential way, this almost follows on from the Rowie chat too.
Yeah.
Has it got to the point where, you know, we've got to worry about people accused of killing others by misusing a motor vehicle, that they might get a little bit anxious or upset or feel a bit like, you know, they're under scrutiny somehow if they're in the dock.
Well, this is an outgrowth of something we've talked about on Just Lawful, where victim impact statements can be edited by defence counsel before they're given, just in case they go too far and upset the person who's been found guilty.
My God,
that
how
is
mollycoddled is the world?
That's actually sick.
Imagine it's the inversion of the Good Samaritan principle again.
Imagine sitting there and
saying, this poor man in the dock.
Yeah, that's right.
What the hell?
That's right. The people who are the victims here can't be trusted.
You can't call them a monster, for example, in some courtrooms. Some judges and defence counsel will strike out if you say monster. You can't say you ruined their life.
What do you get out of that? So you turn up to work, you know, and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure someone who's been found guilty, let's say, hypothetically, of killing someone, I'm going to make sure that person doesn't get offended.
They go home to their cell with the warm and fuzzies.
Yeah. Oh, does that make you feel good, clocking onto that job every day?
I can't talk about this without swearing a lot.
Me neither.
The world is something past tense.
Let's put it this way. On Just Lawful, Daniel's got the beat button ready a lot when we talk about this. A lot.
Unbelievable. It just says it all, doesn't it?
It really does. And this is
Thanks
what we've
for raising
been...
my pulse rate, Sean. This segment often does that.
Yeah.
Good way to start the day that's not coffee. Right here on Around the Courts.
That's right. I got coffee going too. I got all the stimulants going.
You're done, mate. You're done. Heart attack by the end of the show.
If you want to be outraged further, you go in depth on Just Lawful too.
Sunday night.
Exactly.
Good on you, mate.
Good on you, Sean.
Thanks, guys.
It's 12 minutes to 8. Time for traffic.
At Prospect, smash on Main North Road inbound as you're approaching Nottage Terrace. Croydon, multi-car smash on South Road near Port Road, speeds reduced there. Crayfors West, truck breakdown on the freeway down track near Measdays Bridge. And Northfield burst water main, Grand Junction Road near Fosters Road. Busy South Road through Edwardstown with cameras, Bridge Road, Paraka, Grand Junction Road at Northfield. 50% of car breakdowns are battery related. Don't panic, plan. Book a free battery health check with Battery World. Visit them in store or book online today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
I'm Rachel Swift, health specialist, small business owner, volunteer and Liberal candidate for Boothby. I know what's important to you. A strong economy means reduced cost of living and a stronger future. Vote 1 for Rachel Swift in Boothby.
Authorised S. Meldrum, Liberal Adelaide.
Hi, Katie Bridges here, Market Lead at 5AA. Last year I participated in the Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out. It was an extremely wet one and I was certainly grateful that I could choose to do it for one night only. But it was absolutely worth it to raise funds and support the incredible work that Vinnie's do. I've signed up again this year because I care about our community, so I'm urging other business and community leaders that care to do the same. Register now at ceosleepout.org.au.
Budget car and truck rental make life easy. Whether you need to move equipment, furniture, fresh produce or people, you'll find the widest variety of vehicles at competitive prices at Budget Car and Truck Rental. With 7 convenient locations across the metro area, plus regional locations, you'll find a budget near you. So if you're moving out or in, taking a load to the tip or going on a big trip, do it with Budget Car and Truck Rental. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
Nothing beats that new car experience, and you'll still be feeling it long after you drive away in a new Corolla Hybrid from Jarvis Toyota. It's the iconic hatch, redefined with a 1.8 litre 90 kilowatt hybrid engine. It's already netted a bunch of awards with its game-changing sporty styling. The Corolla Hybrid is definitely made for fun. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Corolla Hybrid at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park. Proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
The Barossa Valley is a place where things mature well and the locals really appreciate good vintage, which is why it makes sense to make the vine change and call the Barossa home. Barossa Village in Anguston, Tanunda and Nuriutpa gives you the retirement lifestyle you deserve. 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes are now available in safe connected communities under an hour from the city. Mature well and let it breathe at Barossa Village. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
So, why go with NRG Solar?
The solar system installed by NRG Solar has made us change our habits in relation to the use of electricity. We followed the advice to use most of the electricity, like the aircon, during the day. And so I think that's a way of forcing the prices down as well. We have solar monitoring, and I consult it most every day. And it's been very useful to see the trends.
Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Eight minutes to 8, John Blake coming up in just a moment. If you think you're a company man, I can tell you, you're probably well behind Walter Orthman, who is now the Guinness World Record holder for the person who's worked with the same company for the longest period of time. He has done so for 84 years.
How old was he when he started? 3?
He was 16 when he started. 16 when he started. He's just turned 100. He's still working there. This is him talking. He's actually... He's incredibly... he's speaking
Portuguese.
Portuguese, yeah. You would understand some of it. So he's saying he's got the world record for working with the same company for 84 years. He's got the certificate with him. He's speaking in this video. He says he never considered leaving the company because he always did well there. He really enjoyed it. So he's worked there since he's 16. The company is it's called Renoview, a textile company in Brazil that he's been a part of. This is his day. He says, I wake up, he says, my day's pretty easy. I wake up at 5 a.m. At 6, I do an hour of exercise every day. And after that, I have breakfast and go to work. That's a commitment I don't even feel anymore. It's better than staying at home and doing nothing. On Saturdays and Sundays, I'm not as happy as during the weekends when I'm at work. I believe work has helped me a lot because you have a commitment. By having a commitment, you don't even have to think about stopping, sleeping, sitting down. Work makes us strong. Stay focused on the commitment. The commitment is the main thing you can have. I'm just happy that I can work. I'm happy, I live well, I enjoy life, and I thank all the friends I have today. I'll be happy as long as I live. 100 years of age, still turning up to work. Drives himself to work still too.
What
At
a legend.
100. Absolutely.
It's funny, I was talking to my dad about this the other day because Dad came around and helped me move this pot that must have weighed 120 kilograms. It was so heavy we couldn't get it off the back of the ute. We had to use a railway sleeper, prop it against the ute, jam it between the fence. And we were talking afterwards, Kate and I, about Dad being 80 and still being able to just come around and casually do something like that. And I think there's a lesson in life or a rule to live by. The moment you just sit down and stay there, you're stuffed. Like, you just got to keep doing stuff. And it doesn't matter if your job is like a soft-handed job like ours. I think if you do other stuff out of hours and keep throwing yourself into it, but find your thing to keep you physically active and mentally active, it does seem to have a huge link towards your longevity.
But the thing I thought, listening to that
Don't you reckon?
story...
Like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
The people who just keep doing things are the ones who seem to live on.
Absolutely. The thing I thought, listening to that story too, there's a debate in this country at the moment about whether pensioners should work.
I definitely think they should be able to without eating into their pension.
Absolutely. This guy's worked away. The other thing is...
Well, this day, 65 is not old.
No.
65 is... I mean, look at Prince Charles. He's 73. He's the youth option for the royal family.
Yeah, that's right. Because those sorts of concepts are so outdated in terms of where medical science is at now. People are living longer and having a quality of life for longer. I mean, you look at it in the world of sport, you got people like Tom Brady's playing into his mid-40s. Yeah. And there's a version of that exists too for normal jobs for people at the other end of life, or what we typically consider the retirement age. We're probably depriving ourselves of a lot of expertise and ability by saying to people, no, you're done now. Like we did, like John Howard was hounded out of the job when
he was 64.
When he was 64.
That became the artificial deadline for Mr. Howard when Peter Costello was meant to take over the reins. And to his great credit, John Howard said, oh, I'm quite enjoying this. I'm not going to go anywhere.
You're not even getting started in your presidential campaign in the US until you get to around that age.
Well, our late neighbour, Uncle Bill, POW, 3 years in Changi, I remember he would have been in his 80s where one day his wife, Joan, she came over the road to our house and said, oh, Dave, I'm taking Uncle Bill up to Flinders because he's just sliced the end off his finger using the circular saw in the shed. Now, a lot of people, you can look at that too and say, when you're 80, you shouldn't be doing things like that. Conversely, you can say that's exactly the type of thing you should be doing when you're 80 because you're active, you're doing something, keeps you alive, and if, after 3 years at the hands of the Japanese, the worst thing that happens subsequently to that is that the tip of your forefinger gets sliced off, then you can roll with the punches on that one.
Exactly.
Just keep doing stuff. That Brazilian bloke is an excellent story.
All right, let's hear from John Black, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
Yes, Steph.
Good morning, Premier. Tom Coutson-Tonus is here to see you.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm sorry. Shall I punch him and tell him you're not available?
Oh, no, it's all right. I'll see him. It might be important.
All right, I'll send him in. You can go in.
Come in, Tom.
Hello, Premier Pete.
What's up?
Oh, boy, this Lyle McEwen thing isn't good, is it?
No, it's a bloody disaster.
Yeah, the trouble is, though, is that... oh, no, it's
what?
No, it's all right.
What?
Well, the trouble is, is that you kind of promised that you were going to fix all the problems with health things.
Well, it takes,
now that, people are starting to hate you.
A lot of time to do... What do you mean, hate me?
Well, they're saying, you should be... spending more time fixing health issues rather than organising the Adelaide 500.
Well, I can't do it all overnight. It takes time.
People online are saying that you're hoping the sound of the V8s might drown out the sound of ambulances ramping.
Get out, Tom.
Good to catch up, Premier.
Yeah, great.
I'll get back to whatever it is
Yeah, get back to that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Premier.
Steph, you can punch him now as he walks out.
2 to 8, more from John Blake coming up when we go behind closed doors after 8:30.
We'll make the first $30,000 paid on a home loan tax deductible each year and restore the great Australian dream to a young generation that currently have it taken away from them.
Authorised by Craig Kelly for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
Nick Chigwidden from Physio Extra talks about how One Solution streamlined their business.
At Physio Extra, we needed to upgrade our IT and communication systems, which is critical to us having a successful business. We spoke to the guys at One Solution, and they provided us with a fantastic strategy on how we could bring our phone and our IT under the one roof. The ongoing service and support they've provided us is also excellent. I certainly recommend One Solution for any business.
Visit onesolution.net.au, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award.
Now, believe it or not, folks, it's happened. Construction of 88 O'Connell in North Adelaide has begun. Developed by Commercial and General, 88 O'Connell is seriously one of the most incredible developments in Adelaide for a very long time.
What it's meant, though, they have to move the display suite because it was where it was going to be built. But you can still go check out what's going to be there. The new display suite is at 53 O'Connell Street. And you can go in and chat with the team. There's actual real people there and get a full understanding of what this incredible development will be like and like to live in on completion.
Been there a couple of times. It's going to be stunning. 88 O'Connell will encapsulate connected living, community, style and sophistication with boutiques, retail and culinary experiences on your doorstep. 2 and 3 bedroom apartments are still available from 1.1 million, but don't delay as this is an opportunity not to be missed.
For more information, pop into the new display suite at 53 O'Connell Street, proudly developed by Commercial and General, creating South Australian communities for over 25 years.
The Isuzu MU-X is born to shine. You can go your own way. Go your own way. With integrated voice command, Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay and 5-star ANCAP safety as standard across the range. Dress to impress and arrive in style in the 7-seat Isuzu MU-X. Hurry to your local Isuzu U dealer today.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide, for Adelaide. 9 News. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming cloudy, 21 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra hands-on physio at 6 locations. Even more convenient. Now with online bookings at physioextra.com.
A hire car stolen earlier this month has been recovered after a chase overnight. Police spotted the Toyota Corolla speeding on Causeway Road at Semaphore Park and pursued it to Largs Bay where it was dumped. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says 3 men were found hiding in nearby yards.
2 men in the 40s and a 25-year-old have been arrested, charged with unlawfully on premises and illegal use of motor vehicle. They're going to Port Adelaide Magistrates Court on the 8th of June.
Another motorcyclist has been killed on our roads. The 18-year-old man died in a crash at Virginia around 5:30 last night. SA Police are investigating a sickening schoolyard attack that's put a 16-year-old girl in hospital. Footage has emerged of the teenager being kicked, punched and stomped on by a fellow student at Whyalla Secondary College. The victim suffered minor facial injuries and concussion. Shadow Education Minister John Gardner says it's shocking.
This is a next-level sort of incident. This isn't the typical type of incident you expect to see in the schoolyard, and I don't think anyone looking at that footage could be anything other than quite distressed. It's very disturbing to see.
A political row has erupted after Anthony Albanese threw his support behind a huge pay rise for workers. Lucy Gray is travelling with the Labor leader.
Anthony Albanese has endorsed a 5.1% rise to the minimum wage this year to bring workers' pay in line with inflation. Business believes any hike should be limited to 2.5% to avoid worsening cost of living. Employment Minister Stuart Robert has told the ABC Mr Albanese should leave it up to the independent umpire.
He made it up on the fly.
Labor's Tony Burke says that's not true.
The figure yesterday is the figure that if you fall below, people are going backwards.
The economy will be top of the agenda when the Prime Minister and opposition leader go head-to-head at tonight's third Leaders' Debate.
The US Director of National Intelligence says Russian President Vladimir Putin is preparing for a long war in Ukraine. Avril Haines has told a Senate hearing the next few months could see Russia's actions escalate and become more unpredictable. The World Health Organization claims China's zero COVID strategy for containing the pandemic is not sustainable. BBC reporter Imogen Folks has more.
It's highly unusual for the WHO to voice criticism of an individual country's health strategy, but today the organisation said China's zero-tolerance policy, in which tens of millions of people have been locked down, was not the right one. The highly infectious nature of the virus, together with effective treatments and vaccines, meant zero tolerance was unsustainable.
In a world first, Australian researchers have found babies prone to infections could be more likely to develop cardiovascular disease as an adult. The more infections babies had in the first 12 months of life, the more markers they had, similar to those found in adults at high risk of heart disease, obesity, stroke and type 2 diabetes. Lead author Dr Toby Mansell says the extent of the link is still unclear.
By the time that your child is going to be at risk of cardiovascular disease, sort of 30, 40 years from now, we'll know a lot more. If this is a contributing factor to cardiovascular disease, we'll know which infections are particularly important. We'll have a whole variety of different ways to reduce risk considerably.
And Nigella Lawson has been sampling more Adelaide restaurants during her time here. The celebrity chef was revealed she went to FIVEaa in Lee Street on Monday night. She went to the Parwana Afghan restaurant in Torrensville on the weekend. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
All new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with 10-year warranty, 10 years capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide's players will hit the training track in just over an hour as they look to snap a 2-game losing streak against Brisbane on Saturday night. The Crows are toying with the idea of changing up their forward line, while the Lions will be without Joe Danaher and Dan McStay, and are considering bringing Eric Hipwood straight into the side despite spending almost a year on the sidelines with a knee injury. Still on football, the feud between Heretier Lumumba and his former coach Nathan Buckley has exploded after the ex-Magpie published a series of secret recordings. Christina Hearn reports.
The secret recording tweeted out by Heretier Lumumba appears to show Nathan Buckley accusing the former Magpie of undermining Eddie Maguire after Lumumba publicly questioned the then club president over his infamous King Kong gaffe. In the recording, taken in 2014, Buckley said Lumumba had thrown Maguire under a bus. In addition to the audio leaks, Lumumba tweeted that he had given Nathan Buckley many years to grow and hopefully tell the truth. Buckley fired back with a tweet of his own. Heretier, I offer you the opportunity to put a full and uncut version of our conversations on public record.
Well, the Socceroos will play against Jordan in a friendly on June the 1st as they prepare for their World Cup qualifier against the UAE 6 days later. They must win that and then beat Peru to qualify for the World Cup. Meantime, Liverpool has recorded a 2-1 win against Aston Villa to draw level on points with Manchester City at the top of the EPL table. And in some basketball, the NBA playoffs continue this morning with the Philadelphia 76ers and Miami Heat set to battle it out in Game 5 of their series, while the Dallas Mavericks will take on the Phoenix Suns, also playing in Game 5 of their series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Prospect, look out for a smash Main North Road inbound as you're approaching Nottage Terrace. Croydon, multi-car smash there. South Road near Port Road, speeds reduced. Crayfors West, broken down truck on the freeway down track near Measdays Bridge. And Brownhill Creek, another breakdown. This one's on the freeway down track as well near Mount Osman Ramp. Look out for Best Watermaid 2, Northfield, Grand Junction Road near Foster's Road. What's poppin'? KFC's $10 popcorn chicken bucket, that's what. $10 popcorn chicken is grooving its way back into your heart and belly. Hurry, this offer's not everywhere and not forever. Pick up only. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Want pure water? Filter your home for 20% off. CompleteHomefiltration.com.au.
21 for your Wednesday, becoming cloudy. Cloudy tomorrow, 21, 22 on Friday. Right now it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Eight minutes after 8, Breaking 8's coming up in just a moment. We're going to be chatting with the Lord Mayor, Sandy Verschoor, after 8:30 today. We've got an update on the developments in the city. First chat in the studio this year, which is in and of itself a bit of a story about the city and a sign of things returning to normal.
It's good.
The Lord Mayor can come into the studio and people can go into the city and pretty much do anything. Is there any restriction on anything you can do at the moment? There's not really, is there? In terms of city recreation
and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of recreation in the city, there's nothing you can't do, is there?
No, the zoo's back to normal. The museum's back to normal. I think everything's pretty much back to normal.
So, and the Lord Mayor coming in with us is back
all
to
the
normal
great,
as well.
all the great free things, like the Botanic Gardens.
Yep.
Actually, that reminds me, I've got to talk to the boss of the Botanic Gardens. There's a story idea we've got coming up with them.
Oh,
love
okay.
love the Botanic
Looking
Gardens.
forward to that.
How good's the city though? If you haven't been into the city for a while, get back into town.
We also early in the morning, Lucy came in and mentioned Nigella Lawson Watch, who's in town at the moment, and we pieced together. We did essentially police profiling. We pieced together her movements and discovered quickly that her nights were spent at the best restaurants in Adelaide. She'd been at Parwana, she was going to Fugazi, and we figured breakfast spots would be the next obvious place that Nigella's going to, and that some nice one. What that segment turned into, though, was a battle of the suburbs. We had various people and even members of Parliament texting and saying, well, we've got the best, so she'll be in our area. We will check in on that, because it's been a war that's been raging on the text line throughout the morning. You might want to contribute to it, 0480 8 1395, and we'll revisit that shortly. But first, it's time for Breaking It 8.
Listeners will have seen and probably recall the interview we did last week with the Mitcham butcher about the what's it called, the Democracy Sausage Prize that all of the newspapers are giving out if you can pick the results in each of the 151 federal electorates. I spent a bit of time yesterday fiddling around with it. I haven't actually submitted it yet, but I thought to try to make an informed decision about it, I'd talk to some mates of mine who've devoted their lives to working in politics as sort of faceless men.
Can I just get you to pause there? Now, listen, everyone, this is insider. Get a pen and paper. If you're to win this competition, 5AA breakfast listeners are going to be miles ahead of every other schmuck in the country.
There's nothing illegal about this either.
No.
I'm going to try to give you a 10-seat head start.
Okay.
And it's based not on sort of wild punditry of people based on who they like as people based on their personality for electorates. But there's actually a serious element to this, and it's borne out with today's Tizer splash about Boothby, today's splash in the Australian about Josh Frydenberg struggling in Kooyong. There is a strong sense within the Labor Party, and also an increasingly defeatist sense on the Liberal side, that Labor is close to locking in the 8 seats that it needs to form government. Labor is currently on 68 seats. The target is 76. There's 151 electorates, so if you win 76 seats, you win an absolute majority. Now, for all the talk about minority government, the view is starting to crystallise that unless ScoMo can really pull something out of the box in the remaining 10 days, the Liberal Party appears to be doomed. Now, as I said, Frydenberg losing, the Treasurer, that is, the future leader of the Liberal Party losing Kooyong, there's an increasing expectation that that will happen. There is now a very strong view that Rachel Swift will not hold on as the sort of member-elect for Nicole Flint's old seat of Boothby here in South Australia. Just in passing, there's no expectation that James Stephens will be tipped out and sturt, despite some hysterical talk in the giddy aftermath of the Malinowskis victory. No one's saying that realistically Stephens will lose. But there's a whole bunch of other seats, including the former IPA free marketeer, Tim Wilson. People are saying he's definitely going to lose Goldstein. Out of Queensland, there's a strong view that Labor is going to win the seat of Leichhardt, of Warren Ench. There's also a view that in Sydney, that Labor will definitely win the seat of Reid, held for a long time by Laurie Ferguson in Western Sydney. Labor will also win John Howard's old seat of Bennelong, which was held by the ABC newsreader Maxine McHugh after 2007. In Tassie, the Libs really need to flip Bass and Braddon there, the 2 seats on the northern part of Tasmania. The expectation is they're going to fall short. So all of this points to Labor holding what it's got, the Libs struggling to make any gains, and also struggling to defend seats that it needs to hold on to maintain its lead, which is currently very slim anyway. So unless something really dramatic happens, it's looking very much like an Albanese government is going to be elected Saturday week.
What's the prize if you pick all 151 seats?
You win an EV car.
Okay. I was going to say, you can't really split that with you for giving the information. Maybe you get a...
I like the fact that you proudly build that as insider trading.
Yeah. Well, why not? Yeah, it is. Listen,
no one's making money out of this.
Hey, if you want to bet on the footy on the weekend and you listen to the sports show every night to get across what's going on, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of that.
Yeah. So write them down. Goldstein, Kooyong, Boothby, Leichhardt, Reid, Bennelong, Bass, Braddon. Don't put Sturt in it because the Libs aren't going to lose it, but that's a nice start for some of the ones that are currently in the too close to call basket.
14 minutes after 8, some stories that have developed overnight that you might have missed. Prince Charles fulfilled the role of the Queen opening the Parliament in London. It was only the third time she's missed it in the entirety of her reign. Previous two events has been when she's been heavily pregnant and unable to attend. So Prince Charles oversaw the official duties.
My lords, pray be seated. My lords and members of the House of Commons, Her Majesty's government's priority is to grow and strengthen the economy and help ease the cost of living for families. In this year of the Platinum Jubilee, Her Majesty looks forward to the celebrations taking place across the United Kingdom and throughout the Commonwealth.
So what happens is the official role of the Queen in that capacity is to go through the legislative agenda of the government of the day, to read out what they're doing. You heard a little bit of that there. Prince Charles playing the role. It's like a dress rehearsal for Charles as King.
Yeah.
Really.
I watched it last night live, and there was, listening to the British coverage of it on Sky News UK, there was not one of these half-wit royal experts who tittle-tattles about, who's been seen in which chalet in Switzerland for Hello magazine, but this was someone talking more on a constitutional perspective, and someone who knew their stuff, saying that the next sort of period, and long may she reign over us. We're not wishing ill upon the Queen at all. Hopefully, she lives for many, many years to come. But it now feels like there's almost going to be like a job sharing scheme where Charles will step up to the plate and do more stuff, but also Prince William is going to be doing a lot more as well. And overnight, I remember this, we covered it live, the shocking Ariana Grande concert bombing in Manchester. Prince William was there with Kate leading the unveiling of this monument to all those poor kids who died. What an outrage that was. So they're going to be pushing both of them out at the same time. Because really, I mean, William's going to be king pretty soon too, you'd think.
They live a long time.
Well, yeah, that's true.
The family.
I mean, Charles could probably, if he's
it could be
anything
20
like his
years.
mum. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But anyway, the view within the palace seems to be that the Queen's really pulling back.
Yeah.
Charles is going to be doing heaps more from now on, but with William playing an expanded role too, while Harry ponces around drinking his fruit smoothies in California.
Well, let's go to the United States for this next item in the news agenda. Elon Musk has opened the door for a Donald Trump return to Twitter.
We should not have perma bans. That doesn't mean that somebody gets to say whatever they want to say. If they say something that is illegal or just destructive to the world, then there should be perhaps a timeout, a temporary suspension, or that particular tweet should be made invisible or have very limited traction.
So no one should be permanently banned like Donald Trump is. People have pointed out, the odd situation they've got whereby Donald Trump's banned, but, the Taliban isn't on Twitter. Elon Musk, of course, the billionaire who was founded PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, and now has bought Twitter, has committed to opening things up a little bit more. Donald Trump, for his part, has said routinely and repeatedly that he's not coming back. He's launched Truth Social. It was his own, basically, competitor to the social media network Twitter, and so he says he won't be back. I'm not so sure.
See, I gotta say, I reckon I totally agree with Trump being back on Twitter. I think it was an attack on, even though there's so many things about Trump that I absolutely loathe and detest. But if you have the Iranian president or Taliban spokesman or the Chinese Communist Party on there, I think you've got to have Donald Trump on there too, on free speech grounds. But the only part of it that I struggle with is during his conduct during the Capitol riots, where it felt like Twitter became almost like a live blog type call to arms for people to go there.
Yeah.
That's the bit that I struggle with. Do you struggle with that?
Yeah, but I don't know how you moderate it. Well, who's making these calls? Because what you've heard from Elon Musk just there is, I actually think, a far more moderate version of what people expected him to do. He's saying, oh, well, we shouldn't permit ban people, but if people are talking about, things that will be destructive, we should stop that, and we should delete tweets. He's actually talking about all the stuff that already goes on.
But can you let someone who wields such power? I mean, let's not remember the people who were there. They wanted to hang Mike Pence. They wanted to kill Nancy Pelosi. And if you've got someone using Twitter to say, go there, do this. I mean, he wasn't saying specifically do the things I just described, but he was urging everybody to go to the Capitol, march on the Capitol.
Mm.
Is that the price of
maybe
free
I've
speech?
got a fatalistic view. I just don't think if it's not Twitter. He launched his own social media platform to make sure he could still do that. Like, what do you stop him?
Well, Musk made the great point that, by kicking him off Twitter, it didn't reduce his power any.
Not at all.
His voice just popped up somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then where do you stop it?
Well, this is just it.
What if you start a Holocaust did not happen Twitter page?
Those things happen. I think that I bet you that exists. I bet you there's people that every day are pumping out tweets saying that. But this is the whole fundamental argument about freedom of speech, isn't it? Because your two choices are, it's unfettered, and you allow that, or you give someone or some group of people the ability to say that's the line and that's not allowed, and no one's ever going to agree with that. Not everyone's ever going to agree with that.
Well, I actually agree, and I think even things like banning David Irving from coming to Australia. I mean, I think the great thing about David Irving, the historian who denies the Holocaust, the moment you opened his mouth, you know that the guy's as mad as a March hare.
Yeah, these people reveal themselves often.
Yeah, what's the old saying? You nothing kills maggots like sunshine.
Yeah, light's the best disinfectant. Okay. Lastly, we just want to reflect too on a story out of SAPOL happened last night. You might have been aware of it if you were in the area. Jen Cullinan brought us up to speed with the latest on what we now know is a fatal bike crash.
Just after 5:30 last night, patrols and paramedics were called to Old Port Wakefield Road after a motorcyclist and a ute had crashed. So sadly, the 18-year-old rider from Burton died at the scene. So unfortunately, the man's death is the 28th life lost on our roads compared to 40 last year. And unfortunately, the 6th motorcycle rider to die on the roads this year.
21 minutes after 8. Time to check traffic, and we'll be back with more, including some of your texts shortly on the Telstra Storm at Barker text line.
At Prospect smash and Main North Road inbound as you're approaching Nottage Terrace. Croydon, residual delays from an earlier smash on South Road near Port Road. Speeds reduced there. Crafers West, broken down truck on the freeway down track near Measdales Bridge. At Brown Hill Creek, got another breakdown. This one's on the freeway down track as well near Mount Osman Ramp. Look out for cameras, Bellew Street, Ingle Farm, Gorge Road, Paracombe. Stay toasty this winter with Simply Energy, with up to 18% off gas usage and supply charges. Plans not available in all areas. That's Simply Energy, backed by Engie. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie Sports Show. Concy's just enjoying the riff. Go on, sing it.
Go on, dear.
I don't know the words.
No, go on, just do it.
Here we go. Right now, baby, it's all right. That's enough.
A bit of free.
Everyone turned off.
You wish you could sing, don't you?
I wish I could sing.
Yeah, I know. I can see it.
4 p.m. weekdays. One more time.
No, I am not doing that.
Blakey's listening.
No.
For free, the reunion.
I'm not going to do it.
Rowie Sports Show on 5AA.
I'm Mark, an intensive care doctor at the Royal Adelaide Hospital. If I can share just one piece of advice this winter, it's that being double vaxxed isn't fully vaxxed. Book your third COVID shot now.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
In times of loss, you need Embrace. Arranging Mum's funeral was never going to be easy. But Deanne Edwards from Embrace Funerals truly cared about delivering the perfect funeral to honour her life, to share our beautiful family memories, along with those of the many other lives she'd touched. Every detail of Mum's funeral was created with exceptional care and at a really affordable cost. Embrace Funerals gave us peace of mind.
When funerals need to be perfect, choose Embrace.
$1 trillion of debt means 6% home loan rates, and you will lose your home. We'll freeze home loan rates below 3% for 5 years. Save your home. Vote United Australia Party.
Authorised by Clyde Palmer for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
With tax time approaching, it's time to take advantage of the federal government's instant asset write-off. It's also a great time to speak to Toyota about a new forklift for your business. Check out their huge range of quality Toyota forklifts, pallet jacks, walkie stackers, reach forklifts and more. with legendary reliability and safety, plus cleaner, greener electric options. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift.
Terms and conditions apply.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem, or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware, and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 8. Now, I think this is a good text, and I thank the person for sending it in, because I bet there's multiple others in this boat. David's breaking 8 was a real insight into what's going to happen on election day. He peered into the crystal ball for the benefit of you, the listener, and to give you a bit of a leg up to win that excellent competition that's running at the moment. We have to pick the winner of every 151 seats. Someone said, David, can you please repeat the 10 seats? I couldn't write as quickly as you talk.
Yeah, hello, I'm back.
Help if I turn you on.
There were actually 9 that I mentioned, so for the benefit of the mug punters who want to win the electric vehicle and for others who've just got a keen interest in democracy, I said Labor win Goldstein, Kooyong, Boothby, Leichhardt, named after Ludwig Leichhardt, the man who discovered Cape York, Bennelong, named after the great Indigenous leader, Reid, I don't know who Reid was, maybe John Reid from the Crows, did I name an electorate after him? R-E-I-D, that is. Bass, named after the fish, and Braddon.
Yeah.
And the other one I mentioned was Sturt.
Named after the great batsman.
Hang on, they misspelt it. What an insult. I mentioned Sturt not going to the Liberals. Not going to Labor.
That was good.
All the previous ones, Labor will win.
Was that a political is it a Mondegreen where you miss...
Like, excuse me while I kiss this guy.
Yeah.
Or, I've got shoes, they're made of plywood.
Yeah.
You're the one that I want.
Lucy's in the studio. I hope with an update on Nigella Lawson watch.
Yeah,
Morning,
how are we
Luce.
going?
Sadly, no one spotted Nigella Lawson in Adelaide this morning.
Surely
but
we've got
please,
the breadcrumbs are out there, though.
breadcrumbs are out there. Tom texted us early this morning saying, My Kitchen Rules filming in Grey Street, Norwood.
Yes.
Which is in the Kent Town end of Norwood.
Okay.
So if you see her in Norwood this morning or anywhere in Adelaide, please ring us. Anyway, now we're asking, so we want to know that, first of all. Second of all, what are your breakfast recommendations for Nigella? Clearly she's going to some nice places, but everyone's got their favourite cafes.
It's turned into a sort of a battle of the suburbs this morning.
I'm going to have a read of a few out.
Okay.
To see where we've covered and see where we need.
Yep. Where are the gaps?
Hey, just quickly, I've got to correct something. The Libs lose Goldstein, but don't put it down as a Labor win because it goes to an independent, same as Kooyong.
Good point.
Yeah, so they are Liberal losses, but independent wins.
Yes.
Well, we'll re-clarify this after the news, maybe.
Goldstein and Kooyong, independent.
Yes.
Of course. Yes.
All right, cafes around the town we think Nigella should go to. We've had Community at Lot 14 in the city, Kitchen 2C in Harndorf, thanks Tessa, Long Lost Friend in McGill, thanks Dave, 35 Sterling in West Theberton, thank you Sophie, Loose Caboose in Bowden, Anthony,
that's good,
Exchange in the city's East End, thank you Nick, Clay & Co in Newton, thank you Paul, La Crema at St Mary's, thank you Deb, and Mercato at Campbelltown, Jane. So from my reading, we still need some beachy kind of suburbs. Anyone in Seacliff or Somerton or Glenelg?
Yeah.
Send us in your favourite cafes.
Or further south. What about
further south,
down
like Christie's, McLaren Vale?
Yeah.
Anywhere there?
McLaren Vale, plenty of good places there.
Also like the western suburbs, so Port Adelaide.
Yes.
Anyone in the Kilkenny area, Woodville?
Oh, yeah, well, Kilkenny, I reckon, in all seriousness, a good place to go would be Hanson Road. Because all those Vietnamese joints get a bowl of pho for breakfast.
Beautiful. And it's
Terrific.
cold. They'll be warming you up. Or
Well,
also...
They pronounce it fur, don't
Fur.
they?
Yeah, a bit of fur. The Foothills, Athelston, Ross Trevor. Anywhere there we would like to hear about.
Okay, so
Favourite
some
cafes,
gaps in the knowledge.
A few gaps.
Okay.
Send them in.
Lucy set you a task. That was good. So she sets us tasks. Your task, the
welcome.
listener, is to fill in those.
You've been told.
Thank you, Luce. 048081395. That's the Telstra Storm Out Barker text sign. You can call us on 8223 0000. In a moment, I think in a jurisdiction that's probably had a few nominations already, it's the Lord Mayor of Adelaide, Sandy Verschall.
G'day, it's Soda here. Now, if you're a tradie or a courier, you know every second counts. So why waste time waiting around when you can get on with it behind the wheel of a Staria Load, Hyundai's new work van? It's a game changer, the perfect office on wheels. A spacious and sophisticated workspace that combines efficiency, space and class-leading safety tech. There are work vehicles, and then there's the Hyundai Staria Load. Ready to drive away right now at your local Hyundai dealer.
It's not often you get to go behind the scenes of one of Adelaide's top home builders. Well, at Beechwood Homes, you can. The stunning Beechwood display home at Blackwood Park has been sold, but that doesn't mean you miss out. Call Steve from Beechwood and he'll take you behind the scenes of other Beechwood masterpieces currently under construction. You'll get an incredible insight into what makes Beechwood Homes an SA favourite. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
So, why go with NRG Solar?
My first contact with NRG Solar was through Michael. He had a look around the house, had a look around the roof. We have particular problems with trees, so he assessed the situation, made some calculations, discussed the options with me. What I liked most about the visit was that Michael was prepared to explain things in simple language to us and look at the options and just basically being professional.
Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
G'day, it's Mark Bickley. Well, it's tax time. The absolute best time to get in touch with your Leader Computers reseller, especially if you run a business. Order and install your new Leader PC before June 30 to get a significant tax deduction, plus amazing pricing from Leader. And with Leader Computers, you're dealing with a true SA company with outstanding local customer support. Live life local. Live life Leader this tax time. Visit leadersystems.com.au to find your closest Leader reseller.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Becoming cloudy 21 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
3 men have been arrested after a chase involving a stolen hire car. Kendall Brettig reports.
Police spotted a Toyota Corolla speeding on Causeway Road at Semaphore Park just after midnight and tried to stop the car, but the driver sped off. Polair followed the vehicle through the back streets of Ethelton to Largs Bay, where it was dumped, and all those inside ran off. Patrols quickly located 3 men hiding in yards nearby. Checks revealed the car was a hire vehicle which had been stolen on May the 2nd and was bearing false registration plates. A 41-year-old man from Elizabeth North, a 46-year-old from Lightsview and a 25-year-old from Edwardstown have been charged with being unlawfully on premises and illegal use of a motor vehicle. They'll face court in June.
South Australia is leading the nation when it comes to business confidence. That's according to the latest NAB business survey, which covers the early days of the new Malinowskis government. Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says the looming light at the end of the pandemic tunnel has also played a part.
It's clear that since the election, over the last 6 weeks, being able to ease back some of the COVID restrictions has contributed to these figures. And while we're not completely out of the woods with managing the pandemic, being able to provide the community more freedom to visit businesses around South Australia has meant that businesses are feeling more confident.
The election campaigning continues. The Prime Minister will announce today his latest collaboration between the federal government and universities, this time to develop high-tech clean energy projects. The $50 million Trailblazer partnership will be between the University of New South Wales and the University of Newcastle. Meantime, the third and final leaders' debate will be held tonight. Prince Charles has formally opened the British Parliament, stepping in for the Queen. Carrie-Anne Greenbank reports from London.
This was the most significant of his mother's roles that Prince Charles has ever carried out, and the closest he's come to performing the duties he'll one day take on as King. The Prince of Wales delivered the Queen's speech to the state opening of Parliament, dressed in a uniform of the Admiral of the Fleet to carry out his royal duties, and joined by Prince William and Camilla. Also by his side, the Imperial State Crown, a constant reminder of the Queen, placed on a cushion beside the Prince as he introduced 38 of Boris Johnson's new bills.
Bill Gates has announced he has COVID. The Microsoft founder says he's experiencing mild symptoms and isolating. An Oscar-nominated actor has superglued himself to a Starbucks counter in New York. James Cromwell, who played the farmer in the movie Babe and was also in Succession, was protesting the chain's policy of charging extra for plant-based milk. He chanted "Save the cows" before police arrived. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide will have to make at least one change for this Saturday's clash against North Melbourne, with Riley Bonner set to miss up to a month with an ankle injury. A major injury blow yesterday too at Alberton for big man Jake Pisani after he ruptured his ACL, meaning he's set to miss the next 12 months. Well, former skipper Travis Boak, though, he continues to impress. The 33-year-old is averaging a career-high 30 touches a game this season, and he's told Channel 9 it's about having the right attitude on and off the field.
Just playing with a purpose, I think, for me, certainly over the last few years. It's been a deeper purpose of why I go out there, and, a lot of these young guys who are just willing to learn and willing to get better, and that inspires me to continue to get better.
Still on footy, and West Coast midfielders Luke Shuey and Elliot Yeo will remain sidelined for Sunday's clash against Melbourne. After missing the past two games with concussion, Yeo is now in COVID isolation. Football manager Gavin Bell has told the club's website Shuey's making good progress with a hamstring complaint.
Luke's had a really good week on the track. He's progressing well, another week or two. But yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing Luke return.
Briefly elsewhere, Liverpool has kept the pressure on Manchester City at the top of the EPL table following a 2-1 win against Aston Villa this morning. Novak Djokovic has advanced to the third round of the Italian Open after a straight sets win over Aslan Karatsev in Rome. And Rashid Khan has taken 4 wickets for his Gujarat Titans in the IPL to help them to a 62-run win against the Lucknow Supergiants. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Andrews Farm, smash on Curtis Road near the Northern Expressway. Prospect, residual delays from Nellia smash, Main North Road inbound as you're approaching Nottage Terrace. Crayfus West, broken down truck on the freeway down track near Measdays Bridge. And Brown Hill Creek, another breakdown on the freeway down track. It's near the Mount Osman ramp. Look out for a camera at Lyons Road, Holden Hill. Want free delivery? Shop amazon.com.au. That's right, eligible orders over $39 receive free delivery at amazon.com.au. Easy as. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Want pure water? Filter your home for 20% off. CompleteHomeFiltration.com.au.
Becoming cloudy, 21 today, cloudy tomorrow, 21, cloudy on Friday up to 22 degrees. Right now it's 14. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Hello, Ian Henschke from National Seniors Australia. Would you work if more than half your income was taken by the government? Well, that's what happens to pensioners if they want to work more than one day a week. If we let pensioners work, we'd help plug Australia's workforce shortage, struggling pensioners would be better off, and the country would benefit from more workers paying their fair share of tax. It's a win for pensioners, business and Australia. Sign our petition at nationalseniors.com.au.
There's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, dear Labor.
Labor hasn't balanced a budget in over 30 years, and their COVID response would have cost an extra $81 billion. Labor didn't even cost their health policy and can't say how they'd fund billions of extra spending in their platform. And that means
more taxes are coming, more taxes, more taxes. There's a hole in your budget, dear Labor, a hole.
It won't be easy under Albanese. Authorised by Ahurst Liberal, Canberra.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. We were talking about it a little bit earlier in the program that things are returning back to normal in the city. In fact, we're trying to pick the things that aren't at this point in time. And as far as recreation and having fun goes, it's all starting to look very, very normal. And a piece of that is having the Lord Mayor join us live in the flesh in the FIVEaa Breakfast Studio for the very first time in 2022. Lord Mayor Sandy Verschoor, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, listeners. It's
Good.
great to be back in the studio.
It's good to have you back in here, Lord Mayor. It's been a while. I think one of us was in ISO last time. There was something going on. It's all a bit of a blur.
Well, remember, we didn't allow people to come into the building.
Yeah,
Our company
was policy.
Yeah.
And then you were broadcasting from home for a while, and you
Yes.
I mean, like, how strange is it? How strange is it? I don't know.
Have you had to do that Zoom meetings and so on with council?
Yeah.
Oh. Did you see that one the other day out of Western Australia about the council there, where the guy he lost his mind and said he'd been silent, so he started turning the lights in his house on and off as his protest?
Oh, some of the Zoom behaviours, honestly, somebody has to do a blooper reel of Zoom behaviours. Anyway, I'm sort of quite pleased. Actually, there's an upside because it has helped, particularly me. Had a lot of Zoom meetings, particularly with my counterparts in other capital cities around Australia, and we actually became really quite close because we were discussing all of the things that our cities were going through. And now it's fantastic, and I'm catching up with Clover Moore and Sally Catt.
Is she still the Lord Mayor in Sydney?
She is still the
Wow,
Lord Mayor.
she's been Lord Mayor for like 15 years.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I know her really well. She's lovely.
So, and you know, we because we have the Capital City Council of Lord Mayors, we sort of get together on a very regular basis. But during COVID, I was chairing, and we set up a weekly meeting, and we were talking about everything.
You must have got a good sense through that, Sandy, about like how we compare to other capitals. Because, I mean, as tough as it's been here, you'd rather be Adelaide than Melbourne, for example, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Like, we came through this with flying colours. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And we had and I know that businesses were impacted because of work from home orders and the lack of traffic, but nothing compared to what happened on the East Coast.
Speaking to someone who was just in Melbourne, actually, just the other week, who made the point that you can still see the scar tissue of COVID in Melbourne in terms of the businesses and the closures and things.
Absolutely.
It's really obvious. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Sydney looks pretty much back to normal.
Yeah, but even
are we
Sydney,
pretty much there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, Sydney, even at the moment, their occupancy rate is very low in the city, and but they are working really hard and having their events back and things like that. Adelaide is feeling fantastic. I don't know if you've been out and about, but, Rundle Mall's been booming, and we have traffic counters all over the city, and April was fantastic, I must say. We're looking at it month on month, we're looking at compared to previous years, and we're bouncing back in a really good way, a really big way. And people are also enjoying coming back to work. We've had the rolling, close contacts. Now that's sort of changed, because that can take out a whole team at different times.
Do you reckon big business needs to do more still, though? Like, I know some eastern states headquartered companies that are still saying to their staff, you only need to work in the office 3 days a week.
Yeah, we're looking at what the future trends are. I mean,
now?
Everybody talks still about the work from home or the remote working. And when you're in a place like Sydney, if it takes you 2 hours to get to work or 3 hours to get to work, there is an absolute advantage if you're going to work remotely. But in a place like Adelaide, where you're pretty close, regardless of where you live, and, it's also depending on the business itself, that productivity that comes from the pre-meeting chats, the post-meeting, you're leaving a meeting, you're talking to your colleague, you go and make a coffee, you bump into someone in the corridor. You never underestimate how much comes from those incidental meetings. I mean, I reckon I do half my work just by bumping into people in the corridor. So I say, oh, by the way, la,
totally.
la, 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 la. And I think we all do it. And it's also for those businesses that are sort of in the knowledge business, if you like. The exchange, the one-on-one exchange of ideas and concepts and knowledge cannot be underestimated.
Can't get that sitting in your spare room.
At some point in time, we need to defend the sanctity of the home. Because the mobile phone kind of breached the barrier of the workplace versus the home life. Yeah. And the idea of working from home is it's pitched as a convenience, and I'm sure in many cases it is, but it breaks that final barrier of, no, when you're at home, that's still your workplace. But we've sort of made it official, and I think people haven't really realised the sort of mission creep that's had with this whole period, but that's a philosophical chat. Let's talk about the city. You had a council meeting last night.
We did.
What was top of the agenda?
Top of the agenda is the budget, probably, which, is a dense document, but we go out to consultation, so we take everything out. We are a very transparent level of government, so we take everything that we're going to fund, whether it's capital works or programs in culture or sport, everything goes out for consultation, and then we wait for people's feedback on that. What I did do is add something to the budget at the last minute, and which we'll adjust when it comes back in terms of bottom line, which is an undergrounding pilot. So undergrounding those power lines in the small residential streets in the city, I still think there's a lot of work to do, and I want to see a rolling program so that we can actually start working on them and get rid of those Stobie poles and the ugly overhead wires. I'd just love to see a program that continues.
Has the change of government had any, and we won't mention the V8s, we did that last time and it all got a bit... Our listeners, they're like dogs with a bone with the V8s, Lord Mayor. But has the change of government changed things for the council at all in terms of your agenda and what's on the go? I mean, I know you've always had a great working relationship both with Stephen Marshall and with Peter Malinauskas, but what's the biggest sort of influence or effect?
Well, probably there were some fantastic election promises which are now coming to fruition, and I'm working very closely with the Premier and his team, one being the Aquatic Centre in North Adelaide, so which is amazing for the state, because only less than, I think it's 7% or something of city ratepayers actually use the Aquatic Centre. It is a really big catchment, and so it services the central and northern area. And so to actually have that in the budget and know that we're going to have a regional wellbeing and aquatic centre is fantastic news for everybody.
What would you like to see happen where there was going to be a big entertainment centre?
I am going to be working very closely with Caterpillar, which is the Parklands Authority, to put forward some ideas for the reinstatement of Helen Mayo Park. It is actually a really beautiful park. I don't know whether you've been down. I actually walk the trails a lot, like the linear park trails. And if you go down past the weir and keep going, it is really stunning. There are beautiful, beautiful old trees all along that river. And there's a couple of patches that are... contaminated and have been used for work platforms while they were building the hospital and building some of these things. And they need to be reinstated. So I'm going to be working very closely with my teams to see that we can put forward some great ideas in terms of how we reinstate and bring it back to a people's park, really. And
because I've got to say, that's one of the things that has made people a little bit more cynical like me about it, where I think, well, hang on, what did Helen Mayo do wrong to be named after a grubby old car park? Because you look at it at the moment, and it is like a big pile of gravel sort of there between...
The bit near the bridge is.
Yeah, but I get your point.
But you go further down, it is stunning.
I know, because like you've got the olive trees down towards where the horses are, and you can actually see it really well from the back of the par 3 golf course. Yeah. Like if you get down to like about hole 6, you can actually see just over the river how great
beautiful.
It is.
It really is. And
but it needs to be opened up. And
the other thing which, and I have talked to the Premier as well, is that, for health and wellbeing, if you're in the hospital, you want to look out into green space.
Yeah, totally.
And one of the things that was extraordinary about the old hospital is that you could take people out and into the Botanic Gardens. And what we're doing is working with the hospital team, they've been amazing actually, to try and connect the hospitals back into the parklands. So
why don't talk to the Botanic Gardens?
Really
if anyone knows anything about plants and greenery and stuff in this town, it's the Botanic Gardens.
Yeah, they've got an amazing horticulture team, but so do we, David. Our horticulture team, we've got 150,000 trees and
we can even 25,000
rose bushes. I think Botanic Gardens is beautiful. I was actually there on the weekend just past, and I just think it's one of the most beautiful spaces, and I hope people go to the Botanic Gardens and actually just walk around, because we are so lucky in Adelaide. It's right in the middle of the city.
Yeah, it is awesome.
And I had a golf day, a corporate golf day a couple of weeks ago, because you know how well I play golf. and I actually always say, and I mean it sincerely, the scariest thing I've done in my entire term has been to tee off at the golf day. And I shook for about half an hour.
Where'd you play, North Adelaide?
Yeah, it was North Adelaide. I didn't do it this time. I got one of the juniors to do it, who was incredible.
South course?
But North Course.
Yeah, right,
South
okay.
Course. No,
South
South Course.
Course, yeah.
Course. We did Path 3 this time as well as South Course, which was fantastic.
Yeah, right.
And I've forgotten what I was going to tell you now. But I was just
Fixing
thinking,
the park.
it's just, to have a golf course like that in the middle of the city is just truly extraordinary. And we had a lot of people that hadn't played those courses, and they came and they're just sort of looking out at the...
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot.
It's a stunning spot. We are
great.
very, very lucky.
Well, it's great to have you back in. It's a good sign of
What's your go-to breakfast venue?
Oh, yes.
So I'm not a breakfast person, but I do go to the Central Market and grab a coffee and wander through and get a croissant or something like that.
Yeah. Sport for choice in the city too.
Yeah, we
so
are,
many
absolutely.
good choices.
Good on you, Lord Mayor. Thanks for coming in.
Much.
Good to see you again.
All right, let's check traffic.
At Croydon, multi-car smash on the north-south motorway near Torrens Road. Andrews Farm smash on Curtis Road near the Northern Expressway. Prospect, residual delays from an earlier smash on Main North Road inbound as you're approaching Nottage Terrace. And in the Parklands footpath, maintenance works to Kettleville Terrace near Flinders Street, speeds at 40. Keep an eye for cameras Lyons Road, Holden Hill, Nelson Road at Paravista. Apply today for a mobile card and enjoy exclusive benefits and zero card fees. Accepted at mobile and 7-Eleven service stations. Mobile card. Your business sorted. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Bring back from overseas $1 trillion of Australian super. Inject it into the Australian economy. Save your family's future. Vote 1 United Australia Party.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
So you've got a will. That's good. But do you know where it is? Or when it was updated last? Have your circumstances changed? An old or poorly thought out will can leave problems for your family and those you love, and it can be expensive to sort out. Don't let that be your legacy. From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, you can trust Donlan Lawyers to help carry out your wishes. Wills and estate planning? Visit donlanlawyers.com.
Now, this is great news for people on the move. Well, I got to say, I am very well equipped.
You did this?
I did this on Friday. I went to Marston and picked up a Hilux, having stupidly got rid of my own Hilux. I had a whole bunch of stuff to move. And for $170, I got a Hilux for 3 days.
Don't mention the Hilux.
I chucked a bit. I paid a little bit more because I wanted to reduce the excess because I had to do one reasonably long drive in it. But budget car and truck rental... Yeah, I'm going to say I'm doing cash for comment wrong because I pay the cash, then I do the comment.
Yeah.
It's not really the way it's meant to work, is
Not
it?
historically,
but
I mean, there are laws against it.
Yeah, I know. But it means at least the ads are credible because I thought, well, I'm going to go with budget car and truck rental because they advertise with 5AA, so they must be good. And they were. The car was ready. The car was great. Big hunking beast of a thing. I got everything done. And the good news now for people on the northern side of town is that budget car and truck rental got a new location at 354 North East Road, Clemzig, and they're open 7 days a week.
So whether you need to move equipment, moving out of your old home, moving into a new one, you might be moving fresh produce or simply moving people, you'll find the widest, or maybe even wildest variety of vehicles at competitive prices at Budget Car and Truck Rental.
They have got it all from refrigerated trucks and vans to utes, four-wheel drive, sedans, wagons, buses you can drive on a car licence, even big trucks. Budget Car and Truck Rental have the vehicle to get it done with zero fuss.
With 7 convenient locations across the metro area, plus regional locations, including the new location north of the city at 354 North East Road, Clemzig, you'll find a Budget Car and Truck Rental close by. Call 132727.
If you're due for a service, here's a little reminder of what you get at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Sure, your car gets state-of-the-art servicing by top-trained mechanics, but what do you get? Try next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash. Oh, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we know that to be the best, we've got to look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Statewide Super is now Host Plus, an industry super fund for all Australians. That's a plus.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 to 9. We wanted to fill in the gaps in our breakfast place recommendation knowledge this morning, which is really ultimately amounted to a list for the benefit of Nigella Lawson, who's gone to some good dinner spots. We figured she might like breakfast, being on breakfast radio. Andrea says Mr. Sunshine's in Theberton.
Oh, good spot.
That is awesome, that place.
Yeah, I've been
good
there.
Suggestion. Thank you, Andrea. Nick in McGill's called in. Morning, Nick.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Dave.
Yes, there's a little place just down the road from me. It's actually Payneham South, but it's just where the First Shopping Centre is, just behind there, David Street. It's called the Cafe Five Little Figs. And the people there from Kyrgyzstan,
Wow.
they've got the greatest food that you've ever seen.
Wow.
You know, it's really, really beautiful there. They're very friendly.
Turkestan. Wow. What sort of food do they do?
Oh, they've got a bit of a mixture. They've got a lot of that stuff from that parts of the world and
Wow.
that. But their eggs,
How
they get
cool.
them especially from the Barossa, and oh my God, that's to die for.
Wow.
That's great, Nick. Thank you.
I like those obscure places.
Yeah, that's good.
A few years ago, I had breakfast at an Egyptian place in Blackwood.
Fantastic.
It was really good.
Maria's in Seaton. Morning, Maria.
Good morning, boys. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Maria.
I'm reckon there was a Nigella. Apparently, she was spotted on Saturday night at a restaurant. I think it's on Henley Beach Road.
Yeah, Parwana.
No, it's an Italian restaurant called Paladino's Cucina.
I haven't even heard of that.
Oh.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware
apparently
of that.
the food is rustic cuisine, and for a cafe that's in the western suburbs, just relatively new, near opposite the Westlake Shopping Centre, called L'Ombra. It's an Italian restaurant, and apparently the desserts are all homemade by the mother that works there with in the restaurant there.
Sounds beautiful, Maria. Thank you for that. It's good. We needed a few out west and out north as well, so we filled in some of the gaps there. We appreciate that. Hills we got asked for too. Ryan's in the says the plough in Harndorf. That's a famous one in Harndorf. And Tim Jennifer texted in as well when someone said, "What about Port Adelaide? Banksia tree, the Banksia tree, St Vincent, Port Adelaide." For breakfast, been in there too. That's really, really nice.
Port Adelaide's got some good new restaurants too. It's got that excellent Mexican taco joint, and it's got Low and Slow.
Low and Slow. I went there.
How was that place?
A week ago. Oh my God, I love Low and Slow.
What's your PB for consumption of brisket? You can do about 300 grams without even thinking about it, can't you?
Low and Slow is amazing because it just comes out. It's one of my favourite eating experiences. No mucking around. There's no having to fiddle around with an order and pick stuff. It's just meat. It comes out. It's incredible. And it's fast. I love it.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. I'm getting hungry thinking about it. Okay. We're going to give away a $100 Uggs to You voucher.
I reckon we'll give it to Jenny in Salisbury North. I hope you're still listening, Jen. It was a great call about panic buying during COVID. We've all been reflecting earlier in the show. We were reflecting on how we've become, proud owners of 10 kilograms of chickpeas from Gaganis. Will has still a bag of rice that could probably be given to the United Nations to
it would feed a small country.
Airdropped into a struggling third world country.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. I think it would. Let's check the fuel situation. There's a couple of cheap spots out there at the moment. All South Aussies can find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free My RAA app today. United Grange Road, Flinders Park, $1.69.9. The United South Road, Melrose Park, $1.69.9 as well. That's good. In the east, though, you won't be seeing it much below $2. The Ampol Payneham Road at Felixstowe is as good as you're going to probably find it, $1.99.9. The best diesel we managed to spot, ex-convenience Main North Road, Jeps Cross. At least it's come below $2, but not by much, $1.89.9. It's time to go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
1395, Adelaide's FIVEaa. This is Andrew Reimer.
And welcome back to the program. You're with Andrew Reimer, and you can call up and talk to me on 8223. Talk to me about anything that's on your mind. You might like to talk about the weather or coronavirus, etc., etc., etc. I do like the word etc. I think it's becoming my favourite word, etc. I'm going to use it a lot tonight. John's called up on the interactive phone line on Interactive 1395, Adelaide's Interactive 5AA on 8223. And of course, we're interactive. Hello, John.
Oh, g'day, Andrew.
Hi, John.
Yeah, I like that word too.
Which one? Interactive?
No, etc.
Oh, yeah, right, etc. I like that word too. I'm going to use it a lot tonight. I think it's becoming my favourite word.
Oh, yeah, right.
And you know what's funny about that?
No, what?
You'd think that if I liked that word so much,
yeah,
and want to use it more, and think it's a really good word,
You'd pronounce it properly?
yeah, that's right. You'd think I'd go out of my way to pronounce it properly.
That's right.
But I don't.
No, you don't.
I keep saying etc.
Yeah.
But that's wrong.
Yeah, I know.
You know the word I really hate?
No, which one?
Yada.
Yada?
Yeah, you know when people finish a sentence with yada, yada, yada.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what does that even mean?
Well, it kind of means etc., etc., etc.
Oh, right, does it?
Well, sort of.
Well, at least I pronounced that one properly.
That's a good point.
So, what's going on in your world, John?
Oh, you know, the election and ScoMo and Albo,
Yada,
etc.,
yada,
etc.
All right, time for a headline.
Oh, yes. A load of hot air. Lyle Mack's fantastic fix to keep patients warm.
Yeah, don't worry. It's a great idea. You'll be outside, but at least you'll be warmish.
Stand in front of that blow heater for 4 hours.
Unbelievable. We're out of time. Graham Goodings is coming up, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.